thing. So you grew up with like a family of four brothers, or you have a sister?
No, we had a great family. My father was polygamous. His first wife, the late Nyagodi, had 4 kids. My mother had 9 kids.
Okay.
I'm the 8th born in a family of 9.
Okay.
So we were 13. We have lost many of us, quite a number. From my family, my mother's family, we've lost the late Dr. Wachira and Ririani, and we are remaining myself from the sons.
Yes.
And 5 daughters.
Okay.
The other family, 2 are dead, 2 are surviving. So we are there, and we thank God for long life. And we love one another. We are a great family. Okay. We are very united and very cohesive.
So when you talk of them being politicians and them being involved in the struggle, like, could you maybe elaborate on that? Because this is to connect with your start as a DO, started out as a DO. So what's the connection?
Well, when I came from the University of Nairobi in 1988, I was a student of political science. I sought for a job. Those days it was good. It's not like now. Once you got admission to the university, your life was sorted.
Yes.
Indeed, I remember once our mother educated you up to Form 6 and you passed, you'll never see her again. The next time you saw her, she was asking for money because it was automatic.
Yeah.
In fact, employers would come to the university to recruit people into employment. So when I left the university in 1988, because I had studied political science and I had a political mind, I sought for a job as a district officer. That is public administration. And I went to the Public Service Commission and I got the job. And I went to the Kenya Institute of Administration, KIA, which today is called the Kenya School of Government. That's where I did my induction. And I started my job as a young officer at the Ministry of Home Affairs as an assistant secretary to the late Davidson Koguru, who was the Minister for Home Affairs. Later on, I was posted as a district officer to Kirinyaga, Kishogo. I stayed there for several years. Later on, I was recalled to the office of the president. I became a personal assistant to the head of public service, secretary to the cabinet. Prophet Beach, Vice Chancellor when I was a student at the university. Back to the field, I served in Kiambu, I served in Laikipia, I served in Garissa, I served in Turkana, I served in all manner of places. And years later, I became a personal assistant to President Uhuru Kenyatta when he was the Minister for Local Government and Kanu presidential candidate. And I worked under President Uhuru Kenyatta. And when we lost the elections in 2003, I continued serving him until the year 2006. That is when I requested him that I would like to go to business. I went to business from never went back to the ticket and won handsomely. I got 54,000 votes against 28,000. And I went to Parliament for 5 years. There in Parliament, I started working with William Ruto. We developed a good rapport. I helped him the campaign until we won. And he picked me as his running mate. And the people here, accepted. They gave us the vote and I became deputy president. I served for 2 years. We fell out. And he got MPs and senators and coerced them and intimidated them, bribed them to throw me out of office. They did. I left gracefully. I came here and dusted myself and woke up and started reorganizing my politics and my leadership. I founded the DCP party, which I'm leading today, and is the vehicle through which I want to seek the presidency.
Okay. Before, you've mentioned your fallout with President Ruto. Of course, many people have never known exactly what happened. Would you want to tell us what caused the fallout?
Yeah. The two of us are totally different. I'm a very truthful man. I'm a very honest man. And I thought he was like me. And I must say, he's a very good actor. He deceived me and deceived all of us. And we thought he's a great Christian. He would be in church every Sunday. He would quote the Bible. He would talk to us with a lot of, conviction. And I swallowed a bit, and I believed he was the best man for the job. But once we got to the office, he came out as in true colors, as a dictator, as a businessman, as a ruthless politician, as a man who cannot keep his word, too many promises, too many lies. And we started having differences quite big because I am not that way. And the people I had persuaded to vote for him started asking me very serious questions, and I couldn't have answers. So I started disagreeing with him on many things within government. With a lot of respect, I would go to him and say, boss, this is not right. Evictions and demolitions. When we were campaigning, we told our people there will be no evictions and demolitions. And if they have to happen, they have to be human. And we have to know where somebody will move before you remove him from where he or she stays. We agreed there will be no night demolitions. And these things started happening, and I had a big problem. Along the way, we abandoned what we had promised the people. We had come in with a promise of the bottom-up economic transformation, lifting people from bottom to up. But as soon as we got into office, we started overtaxing people. We started using taxes on luxury, on things that are not necessary. And the people started to cry. And because I'm somebody who listens to people, they would come to me, I would go to him, and he would dismiss me with contempt. And we couldn't have a good working rapport. But our real issues came during the finance bill of 2024.
Before we reach there, could I ask you one thing? I covered the elections just before 2022.
Yes.
And I remember one of the videos that I did, because I always do reaction videos, was a reaction video of no Rigathi, no Ruto. And from that, what I got from that video was, you are not his first choice for DP, Deputy President. The first choice was Kindiki. And apart from that, I remember, I think it was last week, Moses Kuria was on KTN and he said the same thing, that you are not Ruto's first choice. Ruto was arm twisted into it. And with that, the relationship started on shaky ground, because he felt like at that moment he needed you, because he needed the mountain. But you see, you're not his first choice.
No, it's true.
So, yeah. So,
looking back, I think so. One thing is that he had promised the running mate position to so many people. He's a very deceptive character, just like he has done today. Today, he has promised Kindiki, he has promised Joho, he has promised Wanga, he has promised GK Karaoke, he has promised more than 10 characters. Even that time, he had promised so many people. And he had promised me. He had promised Kindiki, he had promised Anwar Guru, he had promised Alice Wahome, he had promised Dende Nyoro, he had promised Justin Muturi, he had promised Musalia, he had promised Wetangula. And he was just playing around with us. I don't think I was his first choice. But I think, being a very pragmatic politician and practical, he looked at the whole configuration, and he was very clear in his mind that if he picked Dick, he would have lost the election. So it was convenient to pick Rigathi Gachagua and dump him later. In fact, I think the decision to remove me was made even before I was picked. I am totally convinced today that I was just a lander.
And you didn't see it coming?
I didn't see it coming. I'm a very honest person, and I'm a person who believes and trusts other people, because myself, I'm very trusting, and I'm a very dependable character. So I really felt we were together. But looking back, I can see that he didn't want me. He wanted a Rigathi running mate and a Kindiki deputy president. A Rigathi deputy president is not good for him, because Rigathi has a mind, and he's a very principled character. And I'm also a strong man like him. And I don't think he wanted that. So during that time, we had that issue. I went and said, he told me to get prepared, and got his communication person, Hussein Mohammed, to help me to draft acceptance speech. And he asked me to come with my wife.
That's what I'm asking. Don't you feel like he felt twisted? Because I remember that time when we were covering it, everything was pointing at Kindiki. And then even by the time you're being announced it's like 2 a.m. Remember?
No, he knew what he needed.
It was like at 2 a.m. So
He-
this no Rigathi, no Ruto protests
No, far from
must have
it.
pushed him.
Far
The
from
protests.
it. Far from it. He
Why
knew
not?
what he wanted. He wanted the Rigathi. He was just managing the others because he had promised everybody.
So the protests came from who? Him?
No, our people were protesting, but he had promised everybody. He was just managing the others. He had already called me and told me it's you, and asked his people to help me have an acceptance speech. Told me, come with your wife and your children, and I came in a suit. All the others did not come with suits because he had not told them. And then he pretended to consult everybody and kept it long so that all the people he had conned can feel that he has tried, but he has been twisted. But he knew, he was clear in his mind. He has done his arithmetic. He knew my persuasive power. He knew my mobilization skills. He knew I had the ear of the people, and he knew for him to get the mountain vote he needed regarding Gachagua. So he created an impasse, an artificial one, just to manage the other people. But he kept on telling me, don't worry, I'm managing it. Yeah, but we watch it too. Please give me time. He kept on doing that. My supporters were getting very wary, yeah, because they could see there is deception. But he was just managing the others. He had already made up his mind that the running mate would be Rigathi Gachagua for him to be president. Equally, looking back, he had decided he would either drop Rigathi Gachagua before 2027, just before, or in between. And I think what happened, his game was to drop Rigathi Gachagua during the second term. But halfway he realized Rigathi Gachagua had become very influential. And he realized that if he lets him stay, yeah, by 2027, it's not possible to drop him. But it is the exact opposite. My being removed have made me 20 times popular than I was. Today, I enjoy the kind of popularity any politician would love in his life, you know? And when he was removing from office, he was told by Ichongo and others, you remove this guy, crown ikitolewa ni mabati. This guy is only popular because he has a position. The people of the mountain are not interested in people. They are interested in positions. Once you get rid of him, that's it. 2-3 weeks, you'll never hear about him. But he didn't know the mountain because he's not one of us. And I told him, the people of the mountain hate betrayal. Betrayal has no remedy in the mountain. It's punished unapologetically. And even him, and he knows, he was a beneficiary of the community's distaste for betrayal. When the people of the mountain felt like Uhuru Kenyatta had betrayed him, they decided to punish Uhuru Kenyatta for betraying William Ruto and elect William Ruto as president. And I told him that time when we were just arguing, when I saw where he's going, I advised him, I said, my brother, I think you are making a mistake of your life. These mountain people hate betrayal. You are a beneficiary of the community's distaste for betrayal, and you are not one of them. They have punished one of their own to affirm you, and you are not one of their own. If you betray their own and you are not one of their own, they will punish you 100 times. What I told him has come to pass. Today, I was seeing meetings in Thika. His allies will not speak. None. Not Ichungwa, not Alice Nganga, not Moratha. None could be allowed to say anything. And what he doesn't know, those people have nothing against Ichungwa. They have nothing against Alice Nganga, nothing against Moratha. They were sending a message to him. But because he's president and our people respect authority, they don't shout him down. They shout his allies down, but they are sending a message to him. We are through with you. You betrayed the mountain. Nobody betrays the mountain and gets away with it. Okay. So let me once more say that that was his script. And I saw it later on when the first 1 year is when I started seeing signs that I had been betrayed, I was unwanted, and I would be shafted. But I put my foot down. I did what I needed to do. The rest is history. So
do you and the president hate each other?
I don't hate anybody myself, but I hate his actions. Abductions and extrajudicial killings, I hate because I'm a Christian. The 10 Commandments tells us, thou shall not kill. I was very bitter with abductions and extrajudicial killings, and that is what made us disagree completely. And that is when he decided I must leave.
So
Do you remember when when the finance bill came, I told him this thing is unacceptable, and the people of Kenya will not take it. And if you insist, there will be rejection, and we shall be left with an egg on our face. Please don't force it. He decided to force it. When it was forced, people said no. And then the agencies came up with a protest. Then in the National Security Council, a decision was made, and I sat there to clamp them down. And I said, no, I disagree with that decision. I said, let's listen to these young people. They have a point. And what they are saying is what the whole country is saying. He said, no. So on June 25th, when the kids were massacred in Parliament, he called a press conference at night and said that these kids are criminals and they are prisoners, and he'll crush them. Still being in office, I went to Mombasa and called a counter press conference, and I told him off. I said, you can't kill these people. They have a right to say what they are saying, and these kids are not criminals. They are my sons and daughters. We should listen to them. That is what broke the camel's back. We never talked again. We would talk through SMS, through WhatsApp messages, because he felt it was total insubordination, and he felt I had ridiculed him publicly. But I needed to give my position to our young people and the Kenyan people that I was not part and parcel of abductions and killing children. I could not be party to it, and I had to disown it publicly, because if I didn't disown it publicly, today I'll be carrying that burden. My hands will be full with blood of the agencies. I'm very happy that I was vindicated. I talked, everybody heard me. Today, nobody can blame me for those killings.
Okay, but I'd ask, like, when did you start becoming uncomfortable with the extrajudicial killings? Like, do you know a specific period?
Yeah. I think I think around April 2024.
Because the reason why I'm asking you that is Ruto's acceptance speech talked about extrajudicial.
Yes, he did.
And he talked about the extrajudicial killings under Uhuru.
He did.
So that means that these extrajudicial killings were happening. Remember? So he said that this new government is going to come and they're not going to be extrajudicial. Then in 2023, remember there were protests, mostly in Kisumu and what? There were a lot of extrajudicial killings. Those are the people who got compensation this week from the courts. So do you understand why when you say you are against extrajudicial killings, it does not make sense to the average Kenyan? Because we're like, that was happening.
No.
It did start in
William Ruto and I were on the same page initially. We had promised the people of Kenya that extrajudicial killings will be a thing of the past, and the use of the criminal justice system to settle politics will never happen. Yes. And that is why it was in his inauguration speech. We were on the same page. As soon as we got into office, I started seeing this bad habit creeping back. And I told him, respectively, in private, boss, these are the things we promised, and things are getting out of hand. Please, let us not go into that direction. He didn't listen. So as we went on in early 2024, I started getting reports and concerns that a special squad of 101 people had been formed for the purposes of abductions and extrajudicial killings. And I told him no. So one day, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya then, the Honorable Justin Bidan Muturi, came to see me as Deputy President. William Ruto was out of town. And he told me, my brother, my own child has been abducted. I have tried to call the IG. He is taking me into circles. I have called the DCI. He is taking me around. I have talked to the PS Interior. He's just taking him into circles. I have talked to the Director General of National Intelligence Service. He's not telling me anything. I have talked to Kindiki, who is a CS Interior. He's just lying to me. I am very unhappy. And I've come to complain to you as Deputy President.
This is 2024, yes?
2024.
Yes, because the reason I'm asking is 2023. In 2023, I don't know if you remember, but there was this even headline that Gachagua is planning mayhem against protesters. That's Raila who said that. So this was around the 26th of March, 2023. There's a statement I remember you made where
That was an
do you
accusation.
expect? No, you asked, like, do you expect the police to kiss the protesters?
No.
Yeah?
That was an accusation.
But you understand what that means? It means that when you're in government, you didn't have a problem with, because a lot of protesters were killed.
I had a big problem. I am a very strong believer in the rule of law. And stopping protests is one thing. Killing is another. I don't believe in killing. Protesters can be dispersed using necessary force, which is allowed by law. As deputy president, you are not in charge of security. The security architecture of this country. The president is the chairman of the National Security Council. Deputy president sits there as a member. All the security agencies, the IG, the DCI, the Director of National Intelligence Service, the Director of Military Intelligence, the service commanders in the Army, Air Force, and Navy are appointees of the president. And it is him who gives directions. The deputy president can only intervene in security matters if given specific duties and instructions by the president. Those duties were never given to me at any one time. And I was a very great defender of the president in the first 1 year because I believed in him. And Raila and others felt that I was very strong. So they were in the habit of blaming me for anything that is going wrong. But going forward, as I've told you, when the AG came to complain to me, I told him to take up the matter with the president. And I monitored for him. And as soon as the president was back in the city, I told the AG, go and see him. He went and faced him, and his son was released. And from there, I went and told him this is wrong. So that by the time we were getting to June 25th, myself and the president were not on the same page in matters, abductions, and extrajudicial killings. And my public statement on June 26th in Mombasa is on record that I'm not opposing extrajudicial killings because I'm out of government. I opposed when I was deputy president in office. And I was removed from office 4 months later. And this is one of the things that accelerated my removal. That is one of the things that made my relationship with the president very sore.
Okay. So during the same Maandamano of 2024, unfortunately, there are people who attacked former President Uhuru Kenyatta's farm, and there were accusations that you were involved in that. Was it true? And if not, then who would you say was in charge? Because the people accusing you are people you sat with.
It is not true because I never uttered anything to that effect. If you check, internet don't forget. The majority leader in the National Assembly, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, told Uhuru Kenyatta, is on video, that kama wewe hapana simamisha kutoa pesa ya kupanga maandamano, tutavamia hiyo mashamba yako na tuyachukue. 3 weeks down the later, mashamba ikavamiwa. Where do you blame Rigathi Gachagua? Did Rigathi Gachagua make any such utterance? I didn't. I am a very responsible leader, and I am a protector of property. I don't destroy property because I look for property. I'm a builder. I believe in building. I don't believe in destruction. Uhuru Kenyatta was president of the Republic of Kenya. He retired. And once our politics were over, I let him be. And I never attacked him. In fact, I went ahead to apologize to him for utterances that I made during the campaign period, because I found those utterances to a great extent were necessary and were too offensive. And since the campaign period was over, I did what a responsible leader does, and an elder for that matter. Uhuru Kenyatta is a senior elder in my community. I'm a junior elder in the community. And I felt that I had uttered words that were injurious to him and quite, disturbing to him and his family. And I offered a public apology. When I was deputy president, I did not do it when I left office. I could not plan or have any reason whatsoever to attack the farms of President Uhuru Kenyatta. But Kimani Ichung'wah is on record threatening to invade the farms of President Uhuru Kenyatta. And 3 weeks after, in fact, that accusation he made at Kenyaga High School, where I had invited him as an old boy, that is where he uttered the threats. And 3 weeks later, the farms were attacked. Kimani Ichung'wah is very close to President William Ruto. So your guess is as good as mine as to who could have authorized for the attack or the farm of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
So are you guys in good terms with former president? Because earlier in the week, we also saw the deputy party leader of his party, Jubilee, coming to see you. And is there a handshake that's coming between you and the former president?
Uhuru Kenyatta and I are brothers. He's my older brother. For your information, I served as personal assistant of President Uhuru Kenyatta for 7 years. I believed in him and his leadership long before other Kenyans believed in his leadership. We have been brothers. He has come to this home. I've been to his home. Our children are friends. Me and President Kenyatta are brothers. But along the way in politics, when I decided to support William Ruto, against his wish, we differed politically. And it was very acrimonious, as it goes in politics. But after we won and Raila Odinga lost, that was over. It is me who made the first step. I took it. I took the very courageous step to apologize to President Uhuru Kenyatta for whatever I could have said that offended him. And it was forgiven. And I have no issue with President Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, I'm shocked people keep on saying that we need to do a handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Handshake for what? We are brothers. We are easy. And the issue of family, you cannot keep on asking, are you in good books with your brother? We are brothers. And we have had long political history. And today, Uhuru Kenyatta is retired. I'm his greatest defender. If you have followed our news, anytime he is attacked, I defend him because I believe he is a Kenyan statesman who did 10 good years, served his country well with the dedication. He has taken retirement, and I am of the opinion that we need to let him retire in peace and enjoy his retirement with his children and his grandchildren. That's what I sincerely believe.
Sorry, I have to take you back. There's something I had to check very fast. When you talk of JB Mturi's son being abducted, you said he came to you, JB Mturi. Why didn't he go to Ruto?
I'm saying JB Mturi did the right thing. He first talked to the DCI.
Yes.
He took him in circles. He talked to the IG. He took him in circles. He talked to the DG NIS. He took him in circles.
Yes.
He talked to the PS. He took him in circles. He talked to Kindiki. So he was just following the chain of command. Then he came to me. Because that's normally the way you do these things. You don't just go to the president directly. You talk to the people who work for him. And he came to me as deputy president to tell me his concern. And when I listened to what he was saying, and being private to what was going on, because I had known as code had been formed, I told him the buck stops with the president because he's the one who authorized the formation of that union. So I said, face the guy head on. And when he faced him head on, sure as December 25 is Christmas, the president made one call because he knew whom to call. He called the DGDs and Muturi's son was released. So I gave Muturi the best advice.
I think I'd misunderstood you because it's like you'd said you told him you'd tell him when Ruto is back because I was checking that and I saw Ruto.
No, Ruto was out of town.
No, this one says Ruto was in Kenya when the
out of town. I said out of town. I didn't say out of the country. He was out of town. Yeah. He was not in Nairobi. He had gone to some place up country. And my security and Ruto's security is one. They are under the presidential escort. So I'm quite aware of his movement. So I told him I'll monitor. As soon as he comes back, I'll let you know. So I told my security, let me know when the president is headed to State House. So when he took off from where he was, my people told me he has taken off. He'll take 35 minutes. So I called JB. I said, in 40 minutes, be at State House. He'll be there. And he went and found him.
Because another thing that's been said is, if you had to look at, what's his name? Ruto used to have, and I've heard some of your political partners right now talk about his anger issues, where he was angry at some point, threatened to slap Uhuru. But also for you, the stories that we had were when the rift started happening between you and him, you'd bang his table and you'd be disrespectful. Understand? So there was the story of you'd be disrespectful. I think the figure was you wanted 4,000 shillings for every voter from the mountain. And you demanded that. And that's how, and then you have, like, when I spoke with Itumbi, and Itumbi was saying that you are petty. Like you even used to fight with them as junior
I
staff.
don't want to discuss it, Tumbi. That's a very junior blogger.
Yes, but I'm just saying.
I cannot discuss it, Tumbi.
Yes,
I think it's disrespectful to even ask me to discuss it, Tumbi.
But no, he's the one.
My friend, I'm a presidential candidate.
Yes.
I can only talk about William Ruto, my competitor.
Okay.
I think it is not appropriate to ask me to talk about State House
okay,
bloggers.
let's talk about it, Tumbi. No, let's talk about Ruto. So with that, do you feel like if you went to him and demanded things based on you having given him votes, don't you feel that was disrespectful? And that's the reason why
I don't think to start with.
He needed to get rid of you. And also the fact that you remember you're saying that you felt like he always wanted to get rid of you. So there must have been something he didn't like about you.
Well, to start with, it's a lie.
Yeah.
I did not ask him for any money. And if I did, it should have been one of the grounds of my impeachment. It wasn't, because it's not true. It's just a lie. The guy is a liar. He has given so many reasons why he got rid of me, depending on where he is. When he goes to Nyanza, he says I was demanding shares for the mountain to the exclusion of the Luo nation. Okay. When he goes to Western, he says I was opposing development for the Luyas to the benefit of the mountain. When he comes to the mountain, he says I was demanding money from him. That is why he got rid of me. He has so many different reasons that he keeps on giving. And if those reasons were true, I believe they would have been among the charges in the impeachment. They were not. Yeah? Nobody demanded a cent from him, and I had no reason to demand a cent from him. I disagreed with him on matters of principle. And it was extrajudicial killings, abductions, theft of public resources, tribalism, nepotism, running a one-man show government and not giving anybody else a chance to contribute to the management of the affairs of the country. Yet you are elected. You know me, I was not an appointee like Ndiki. I was elected by the people. I was not his employee. And he's not the one who gave me the job. He proposed my name and the people of the Kenya gave me the job. I had a responsibility to the people of Kenya. And I found we are losing it. And today, my friend, William Ruto was elected on a very popular platform. 3 years down the line, everybody is saying he must go. And that is the issue I was raising with him. How come that we came in on a popular mandate? Everybody is baying for our blood. Let us retrace our steps. Let us listen to the people.
But the trouble is in part, he's always used it against you, even like with some of the speeches he's having.
Yeah.
But you see how that he can, you remember there was a clip also of Methu, where Methu was saying, angalia jina, ukiona Kipruto, uneka tik. Ukiona Mwangi, uneka tik. Ukiona Onyango, hey. Then he was saying, and then you talked about shareholders. So don't you feel like if we were to talk about one person who was tribal, we can't put that on Ruto. We'd have to put it on you because you're the one who talked about
nothing like
shareholders.
Let me tell you, my brother, it's nothing like tribalism in coalition building. Ruto was a product of the Rift Valley and the mountain. People of Northeastern rejected him. People of Coast rejected him. People of Western Kenya rejected him. People of Nyanza rejected him. People of Nairobi rejected him. He was elected by the people of the Rift Valley and the mountain. And therefore, we had an agreement on how we'll share government. And when he started shortchanging me, I was saying, no, give me what right belongs to me and my people, because we had an agreement. He had a shareholding agreement with the people of Western Kenya. And he did not honor, because he also did not honor. They had promised to give him 70% of their votes. And in return, he had promised so many things. So when they did not honor, he refused to honor. But on my part, we honored what we had agreed. He had asked for 70% of our vote. He got 87%. So I was entitled to get what we had agreed.
What did you want specifically?
No, we had agreed many things. Positions, guaranteed minimum return for our cash crops, coffee, tea, and milk. We had agreed the completion of Mau roads. We had agreed on construction of 18 dams in the mountain. We had agreed that the people of the mountain will not be sacked, even those appointed by Uhuru Kenyatta. And where he felt uncomfortable with those who had been picked by Uhuru Kenyatta, we will change them one for one. And that's what we did in Meru. When he said he doesn't want Kinoti, we exchanged with the Kome. And it was like that until the second year, he started backtracking on those agreements. And then I started fighting.
So do you think that is fair for other people in the country? Because I understand it's a coalition, but in a country where we have 44 tribes, is that a fair way of doing politics?
You know, my dear Sarah, politics is a game of interest.
That's true.
Today, ODM are demanding 50% of government, and nobody is calling them tribal. Nobody is saying that they want to shares. Those ODM characters are the ones who removed me from office. And the accusation is that I am preaching the gospel of shareholding. Today, they are the most loudest and noisiest that they're asking for 50%. Is it fair?
Okay,
that's what they're asking. Because they are saying, William Ruto, if you want the votes from ODM, this is irreducible minimum. We want 50% shares of your government. We want the deputy president. Take it or leave it. And they are doing it because they are the only ones who want to back Ruto. Everybody else has left. So they are in a very strong position to demand as much as they can. And that is what happened to us in 2022. Nobody else wanted Ruto except the mountain. So we said, fine. Since we are the only guys who want you, what are you giving us in return? And we agreed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Initially, he gave us. Then he started slowly backtracking. And then we had a fight because I was a custodian on the mountain interest. The people of the mountain trusted me to be their custodian.
I want us to move this conversation forward. Just understanding the way Kenyan politics works, I would want to know, why do you want to be president? And why should the Kenyan people trust you?
Well, I think I want to be president because I've got great ideas on how we can make this country great. I have experience. I served as deputy president for 2 years. And I have first-hand experience on how Ruto lost it. I know what needs to be done. One, you must listen to the people. You must govern people the way they want to be governed, because essentially a president is an employee. And ordinarily, an employee listens to the employer. So the Kenyan people are the employers. So continuously, you must engage them and listen to what they want. Number two, the people of Kenya do not want corruption. I am persuaded that to deal with the corruption in this country, it must start from the top. You must have a president who cannot entertain corruption. Once the president says no to corruption, corruption will just end.
How are you planning to do that?
Just by myself saying no to corruption. It's the only thing you need to do, by the way. Once the president says no to corruption, I don't want corruption in this country. And it starts with me as president. I will not get involved in corrupt activities. That's the end of the corruption. That's the formula of finishing corruption in this country. But once the president has dipped his fingers into the public purse, he opens the door for everybody, and he can never stop anybody. Once you call PSs and ministers to give contracts to your cronies, the remaining jobs after they give you your cronies, they give their cronies. If you take money, the way money has been stolen, 10 billion, through e-citizen. And I told people, e-citizen has been captured by William Ruto. Today, you saw the papers, the Auditor General is saying, 10 billion has been stolen. So if 10 billion has been stolen from the top, what stopped the small people also from stealing 1 million, 2 million? The way to deal with corruption in this country, the president must say no to corruption. Today, regarding Gachagua left office, nobody can accuse him of any corrupt activity that he has been involved in this country, because I never got myself involved in corruption. And I'm a very proud leader. And you know the kind of viciousness William Ruto has against me. If I had stolen a shilling, it will be everywhere. I will be in court today.
So you didn't steal nothing?
Nothing. And if I did, I am telling you, I will be in court. News everywhere. That is why they have to look for other nonsense to say that I have stolen from the family. I don't know you have stolen from where. The president should be concerned if I have stolen from the public, because he's a public figure. And his work is to look after public funds, not to pretend families, not to pretend private hospitals like Nairobi Hospital. That is not his business. He should get concerned about the failures in Kenyatta National Hospital. There are no blood banks. The cancer machine is not working. There is no food for the patients. There are no reagents in the laboratory. There is nothing. Then he is saying he is a patron of Nairobi Hospital, a private hospital that is doing well. who is the patron of Kenyatta National Hospital. He is the one because it's a public hospital and he is elected by the people of Kenya.
We were planning to talk about that when you're talking about health. But since we were talking about your presidency, you see, every time you utter and you say things like the people of the mountain, it's about interest, it's about what? Do you know that you alienate a very huge chunk of the country? Because the country thinks you ended up with the second highest office in the country. And when you're in the second highest office in the country, you are basically a heartbeat away from the presidency. It means that at that point, your interest should never be about a community, should never be about a region, should always be about Kenya. Do you understand that? Like the concept of Kenya as a country, where it does not matter if you're Luo, Kikuyu, what? Like right now, if you look at this room, there are a lot of different tribes.
I know.
And when those tribes hear you talking about the mountain being betrayed, they're like, no, we want to hear someone talk about Kenya being betrayed. Because even Kenya has been betrayed. Corruption is still there. The hospitals are not, they don't have medicine. Budgets are inflated everywhere. So when can we hear Rigathi Gachagua talk about Kenya?
Talks for Kenya every day.
Without the mount. Because you see, the mount is always there.
No,
and that's where the problem
it's only
comes.
you ask me about the mountain because you are in the mountain.
Yes.
Ask me about Kenya. Every day. Every day.
That's what,
every day, my brother.
Yes.
E-citizen have talked about it for a long time.
Yes,
it does not affect the mountain people. It affects the whole country. When I talk about tea, I was in charge of tea reforms. Tea is not just in the mountain, it's in the whole country. When I talk about dealings with RSF, a rebel group from Sudan, that has affected our image as a country, I'm talking about Kenya. When I was fighting drug and substance abuse, I held meetings in Mombasa. I held meetings in Kericho. I held meetings in Meru. I held meetings in Nairobi. It was for the whole country. I served the people of Kenya. And even in my politics today,
yes,
I am talking about Kenya.
Which I don't dispute. You see, right now, you remember there was the campaign, Kufa Dereva Kufa Makanga, around the time when you're being impeached, where people are saying that if we have to impeach you, then we have to impeach the president. Why people are saying that? Because they felt like the pair of you had failed the country. At that point, we didn't see Gachagua as the savior. After you left, sasa we ni moja wetu. So of course, sasa tuko, hey, you are our savior. But you see, during all that time, tukikusikiza, it was always about the mountain has been betrayed. It's never been.
Well, we were just complaining politically.
Kenya has been betrayed.
We were just complaining politically.
Yes.
And I have told you the mountain has been betrayed. Kenya too has been betrayed.
And that's what we want to hear.
No,
Kenya, how has Kenya been betrayed?
Kenya has been betrayed. One, William Ruto promised to put money into people's pockets. Instead, he dipped his hand in their pocket. And the little they had, he took it away through unreasonable taxation. And the money that have been taken from people has not been used prudently for the purpose for which it was collected. That is the money that is being used to bribe people in State House, to bribe people in meetings. I've been talking about it. When I have talked about the sale of national assets, Bomas of Kenya, Kenya Pipeline, those are not in the mountain. Those are national institutions. And I've talked about it. I've talked about them. And when I say SHA is not working, SHA is not working, not just in the mountain. It's not working anywhere, including Bomet and Kericho, where Ruto comes from. I have been talking about it. I was in Bomet the other day, and I talked to the people of Bomet, and I told them they are suffering just like other Kenyans are suffering. 2 days ago, I had a radio talk show called Ramogi with the people of Nyanza. And presenters there were refusing to allow me to talk about the issues that affect the people of Nyanza. They wanted to discuss Rigathi Gachagua as a person. And I was pleading with them to allow me speak about issues that affect the people of Nyanza region. I have been very clear in my mind that Kenya is bigger than all of us. And I talk for the people of Kenya. I want to be the president of Kenya. I don't want to be the president on the mountain. There is no such position. But I come from somewhere. And those people, like other Kenyans, deserve somebody to talk for them, just like I talk for other regions. But I want to confirm that my agitation, my politics, is in the defense of the Kenyan people, the sovereignty of our country, our image as a country, our territorial integrity. the dignity of the payslip. I have been very vocal that the payslip has been eroded. All workers in public and private sectors have no purchasing power. They have been, more than 40% of their salary have been deducted through taxes that are being used to do politics and extravagance in State House. When Uhuru Kenyatta was president, the budget of State House was 4.5 billion. William Ruto has taken it from 4.5 billion to 17 billion. And that money is for lagis, is for luxury, and for blaming people who come to State House. These are Kenyan issues. I don't think they are issues of the mountain.
Okay. One of the biggest problems the country faces, as he was asking how we've been betrayed as a country, I feel is in the issue of debt. And today, Kenya's debt stands at 12.3 trillion. You want to be president. How would you deal with Kenya's debt?
Well, admittedly, we have to carry over the public debt because it was incurred. Whether through the right decisions or not, is a debt we have to pay. And there is no we can default. We have to pay the debt. But we must make sure that we stop borrowing more unnecessarily by doing what is necessary. For example, the work of a government is to offer services. We don't want governments building houses for people. Those are private matters. You build a house, 1 room, 2 room, 3 bedroom, depending on your need and your capacity to build. What the government should do is build roads, provide water, provide electricity, provide sewage, drainage, provide security. Mwai Kibaki, the greatest president of our time, never did housing as a government program. He never spent government funds to do housing. But the man who did the housing that we enjoy in Nairobi today is Mwai Kibaki. How did he do it? He didn't do it directly. He opened up the bypasses and put good roads, electricity, water, and sewage, and the houses came up on their own.
But the houses are not done with borrowing as it is, because that's our tax.
What happens?
So how would you deal with it?
What happens, why you have to borrow, is you look at your revenue and you decide the things you want to do in a budget. When the revenue is not enough to do the things you have decided to do, you have to borrow so that you get the deficit. So what you do, you stop unnecessary expenditure so that even if you have to borrow, you borrow very little. And the way to do things in this country, in my view, a responsible government should concentrate on education, healthcare, security, road network, clean water, electricity, and communication. The rest of the things, you leave them to the private sector. And an economy is very dynamic. Once you provide the services that are basic, that the people of Kenya require to be provided by their government, you let people do business. If you do remember, during the time of Mwai Kibaki, there was a lot of money available to the Kenyan people to do business. If you remember, if you went to Nairobi near a bank, there were many tents there in a mall, one by Standard Bank, one by Barclays, one by Equity, with some nice looking girls, well dressed, asking you, come, we want you to borrow. Banks were looking for people to lend money to do business. Today, the government is borrowing from the banks. And the banks would like to lend to the government because it's very safe, because there is no risk. So the government is competing with the private sector for whatever money is available for lending. We want the government to borrow less, especially domestic borrowing. Borrow less. Let the money market be available to the private sector. And these are the people who make the economy grow. And Mwai Kibaki perfected that because he was a great economist from the London School of Economics. He allowed the private sector to thrive. And there was less and less government in people's lives. Government's work was to provide infrastructure, security, and a good environment for business to thrive. Now, William Ruto has done housing by government. He has killed the private sector. And it's a huge sector, the US state sector. Those fellows have now have no job to do. Everything is being done by government. And the government houses are being done to provide an opportunity for people in power to sell cement, to sell steel, to sell tiles to the people who are doing the affordable housing. Therefore, government has stifled the private sector. We must allow the private sector to thrive. That's the way to build a country and to build an economy.
I would just want to understand your plan of paying this debt, because you see, every time a new government comes in, the debt keeps accumulating, but the payment formula is never clear to us as citizens.
Agree.
So what policy do you have in place?
One, Sarah, you do the basic law of survival. When you are in a hole, the first thing you do, you stop digging. Then you figure out how to come out. But when you are in a hole, you cannot continue digging. The first thing you have to do is to stop that borrowing. And then you figure out how to pay what is outstanding. But if you find we have 12 point something outstanding trillion, and you are still borrowing more every day, you will never get out of the debt. So to start with, we stop unnecessary expenditure, opulence, avalanche. You have seen the deputy president has a budget of 450 million for helicopters to fly around the country. What for? You have seen State House has a budget for hospitality for 5 billion, for entertaining people who are coming for delegations. What for? Mwai Kibaki never hosted delegation in State House.
But I would argue you didn't even stop it when you're in office also.
No, I'm just saying we were doing things the way the president wanted them to be done. In fact, he was accusing me of not hosting delegations. I had a very minimal budget myself for hospitality, 70 million only. I have seen the present guy is asking for 400 million for hospitality. President was accusing me of not hosting delegations. By the way, I never used to host delegations. I only used to have IBEC, where I would meet the governors. It's a constitutional duty that is in the office of the deputy president. I would meet farmers for tea, for coffee. My meetings were working meetings. I never held a single political delegation, like what Ruto and Kidiki are doing. They are having delegation from Meru, they are having delegation from Turkana, they are having delegation from Trans Nzoia to come and discuss politics. I want you to check. For the time I was in office, I never held a single political delegation. Anytime I needed to host a political delegation, they came here to Amonyoro, at my home, where I entertained them from my private savings, because this is my home. But I never, at the official residence, held a single official delegation for purposes of politics.
Okay, so before he comes in line with that, there was an issue about the DP's budget and the office of the wife's budget. And the Standard had a story where when you're in office, there's a time you needed 1.59 bill for office of the wife, second wife, which I think up to date goes on because there was a story the other day about it. Why do we need the office of the second wife as a country?
Well, one, we had a request of 1.5 billion. A request is a request, and that's what happens in budget. You ask for this, you are not given what you have asked, you are given what is available. We are given 590 million. The office of the spouse of the deputy president, I found it there. I did not create it. It was there when Ruto was the deputy president for 10 years. So when we came, we found that office had been set up. And when we came with Pastor Dorcas, she identified a program to do. And I think it was a good program. I think the money was well spent. She came up with a program on fighting addiction, to drug abuse and rehabilitation. And through that program, a lot of lives were saved. Very many young boys were assisted. She came up with a program for PWD and for widows, wajane na mayatima. And I think it was a good program. Along the way, William Ruto removed that budget. That program died. Today, all the boys Mama Gachagua had rehabilitated, most of them are back into drinking. It was a good program. I don't think essentially there is anything wrong with having activities of a spouse of a social nature that is not anything the government can address on a daily basis. Things to do with humanity, things to do with empathy, and you cannot say that those issues don't need to be addressed. The issue of the boy child, the issue of drug addiction is a serious issue. And if you are around in this country, it's a serious crisis. And many Kenyans miss mama boys because many people were afraid to talk about their children having drug addiction because of the stigma. But when Mama Gachagua started talking about it, even very senior people, approached her to say, Mama, we have a problem here. We have been shy to acknowledge that our children are having a problem. And as we speak today, the boy child is under siege. Our kids have very many mental challenges. The level of depression in this country. There have been very many suicides by our young people because of peer pressure, because of lack of jobs, because of economic challenges. Somehow, somebody must address those challenges. There must be some Kenyan somewhere who can address that challenge. The issue of kids out in the streets who have been taking hard drugs and they need a motherly attention. Somebody must do it. And I'm very proud that when I was in office for 2 years, my spouse, Pastor Dorcas, filled that gap. And Kenyans were very happy. She was the darling of the Kenyan people. And many people have been asking. Even now, we are doing it on a smaller scale. We don't have a government budget. We have some money for ourselves as individuals. We have many friends who support us. Even now, we want to do some fundraising to try to raise about 100 million for Pastor Dorcas to continue doing what she was doing with the boy child. Try to help those young people to see whether they can get back on their feet and they can live a life of their own.
Okay.
So I'll have to take you back to some of the criticisms that you give root on. You've just talked about it. Affordable housing, yes? You're talking about how this is just a scheme for Ruto to get rich. But if you go back in time, in 2023, you are quoted as telling people to ignore any naysayers when it comes to affordable housing.
Yes.
So you see, so you used to support it. Right now, you're outside, you're not supporting it. Even in 2024, just before the budget, before your impeachment and before the fallout became public, you are still supporting the finance bill 2024.
No,
and then
if
you were to skip, we'd still go back to, you just talked about the budget for Uhuru State House. You said the budget was?
4.5.
And what was your budget when you are deputy president?
I think about 4 billion.
You see, 4.57. You understand? So this shows that when you are in a public office, you don't care about the wastage. When you're outside, you see the wastage. You see, that's also is the problem we have with the present government, where before waingia, it's we are going to change this, we're going to change this as soon as you're inside. Because 4.57 for the deputy president's office.
But you must know about that 4.5 billion.
This was for travel and hospitality was to be used, 1.8 billion was to be used on it's something called the luxury budget. And this is something that I normally talk about. Like, we live in a third world country. We have Kenyans who, like right now as we talk, there's a Kenyan who slept hungry. How can the leaders have a luxury budget? You understand how it's such a slap in the face?
Let me
developed countries don't have luxury budgets.
Let me correct you. The budget for the office of the deputy president was in office was a wholesome budget. About 2 billion shillings was salaries for workers. And this is an office that has been set up with so many activities. We had coordination of international development partners, a very important program where you harness funds by the donors and unlock where there are challenges. That requires funding. We had funding for tea and coffee reforms, very, very important programs that are beneficial to the Kenyan farmers. We had a small budget for fighting alcoholism and drugs. As far as I'm concerned, my hospitality budget was very little. If I can remember, my budget for traveling was quite little. In fact, for the longest, I tried to use military choppers that had no expense instead of hiring choppers. But I'm saying the State House budget, most of it is hospitality, and that is where we have a problem. Most of it is hospitality. Most of it is travel, And I want to correct you. I opposed the finance bill from day one. I never supported the finance bill. And even when I went out and I advised MPs to listen to the ground and they started fighting me, I say, my friend, this finance bill, before you commit yourself on the voting day in parliament, listen to the ground, listen to the people. And I became very unpopular with the MPs because the president was coercing them to pass the finance bill. Only a fool does not change his mind. I'm not a fool. Life is dynamic. Life is not static. I want to tell you that President Ruto had convinced me and many other Kenyans that the housing program was a good thing, and it would create employment for very many young people, and it will settle people, who have no housing. I was persuaded and I was defending it until it came to my knowledge, because I was part of government, that this was no longer the case. It was meant to collect money from Kenyan taxpayers so that there are enough houses to be built, so that we can create business opportunities for selling cement, steel, and tiles. Again, I have told you my leadership is informed by listening to the people. What we thought is a good program, the people are saying no. I went to the president, I said, these people here are building houses, what they don't want. They don't want to be taxed. They want to be left to build their own houses. They want us to build schools. They want us to pay money to teachers to teach them. They want us to build roads. They want us to give them clean water. They want electricity. They are not interested in housing. So it doesn't mean because I was supporting something, even if I realize it is bad, I support it to the head. I must change my mind when there are enough reasons and circumstances to persuade me otherwise. That's the nature of life. You cannot just stick to one position if there are glaring circumstances and factors telling you that the stand you have been having is ill-informed. And these are the new facts. Can you change your mind and give a different position? Yes. William Ruto himself, he had told us Raila is a problem of this country. Along the way, he changed his mind and he said he's a good guy. That's how dynamic life is.
Yes, I understand that how life is dynamic, but I was just looking at that, like a lot of the things that you say you are against, we've learned about that after you left government. You see, like something like extrajudicial killings.
No, I spoke extrajudicial killing. I spoke when I was in government on the 26th of June. I would like you to Google in Mombasa as deputy president. I left office 4 months later. Yes. I spoke when I was in office.
Yes,
I condemned extrajudicial killing. I condemned the Director General of NIS. I condemned William Ruto when I was in office. I did not speak after I left office.
Yes.
I'd like you to check that.
Yes, but this was, when the same extrajudicial killings happened in 2023, you didn't talk about it. Understand?
Well, I told you, I was talking internally. I was deputy president. You don't fight with your boss publicly until you've come to the conclusion that it is not possible to correct him internally. I tried to correct him internally. So through persuasion, through reasoning,
yes,
until we reached a place now, it became too much. I needed to speak out.
You don't remember the videos that they used to be posted on your Instagram, no, Twitter, where you are going very early in the office because of protests. You understand?
I was not going early because of protests. I was going early every day.
Yes, but this was being looked at as a mockery to the protesters. And a lot of protesters lost their lives around that time. But even if we were to move from that, the reason I was bringing up the protesters was to bring up the budget thing, where if we talk about wastage of public funds, and when I was looking at your budget here, the 4.57, part of it was to be used on furniture and cars. You understand? And when's the last time you changed this furniture? Why is government furniture always changed?
Well, I cannot. When I came to office, that the budget for that office had been cut for 5 years when Uhuru Kenyatta disagreed with William Ruto. There were no vehicles, or the vehicles were dilapidated, and we needed vehicles to move around the country, so we had to purchase new vehicles. That house and that office had not been renovated for 5 years. And if you don't renovate a house, it will crumble. Even these houses, we repair them every 2 years, because that's the nature of buildings. There must be maintenance of government buildings. Those offices had been neglected for 5 years. And when I came, I looked for a budget to have them renovated so that they are usable and they don't get wasted.
What was so bad that needed to be renovated?
Everything was bad.
Sorry to ask, but
the house was leaking. The house was leaking. The toilets were broken, and there was no borehole. It was broken. There was no water. Water was being brought by tankers. It was in very bad state.
So should we also assume that it's the same case with State House? Because we've seen the budget go up, but there have been renovations
State House
happening.
Has not been neglected because Uhuru was there and it was well maintained. Yeah, he denied William Ruto money for 5 years, which was also not right because he was deputy president. The office had been denied budget for 5 years. So really, it was in very bad state, and it was necessary to have it restored so that the often
that needs billions to renovate.
there are no billions. There's no billions.
Needed
It was
like
100 and something million.
But sasa tukiangalia hapa, these are the budgets we're seeing.
What is the budget?
Seeing like
what is the budget for maintenance of office? It's 100 million.
Was it 100 million?
Yeah, it is.
Imeruka, but it
is.
When we look at
no,
this,
let's be specific. Don't say it's billions. I believe it was 100 million.
Because what I know is you lost 1.8 billion for travel and hospitality. So you see when we look at hospitality, we don't care if it's happening at State House or if it's happening in Wamunyoro. We look at the fact that it's coming from the
let's
taxpayer.
talk about the maintenance of building, because you are saying it's billions.
No.
It's just about 100 billion.
Because here, I was looking at the budget. So your budget was 4.57 billion.
Yeah, but it is full of so many components, including salaries and allowances.
Let's go down. So this is brought back to 2.69 billion. So inclusive of salaries, how many employees did you have?
I can't remember. I
you understand? And how much are they getting paid? Is each getting paid a million shillings? Because if we take 2.69 billion, if you have 1,000 employees, each would have to get around 2.69 million.
I don't think it is fair to ask me how many employees are there or how much they are paid, because I don't have such details. As deputy president, you have people who work under you. You have the chief of staff. You have people in human resource. An office is established by the Public Service Commission. It is not you who decides what is the establishment. And I did not start that office. That was an office that was functional for the last 10 years. It was not a new office. I found it going on, and employees there, and were being paid before I came to office, were being paid when I'm in office. And those are salaries that are not coming to me. The only thing you can ask me is my own salary, which is about 1 million shillings. The rest of the salaries go to other people, and they are public servants. And even when I left, they are still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've Googled, and it's 542 employees. And these are the things we'd have to ask, like, why do you need this amount of employees? And if they are taking up a salary that goes into billions, don't you see there's a certain level of incompetence that comes with that?
I think you are a bit unreasonable in the sense that you must know every office has a structure and an establishment that is approved by the Public Service Commission. That establishment is informed by the activities in that office. The office of the deputy president has very many activities. And if there are 500 employees, somebody must have sat down and decided that that's the right establishment. That decision is not made by the deputy president. That decision is made by the Public Service Commission. So you cannot ask the person who was in that office why there are 500 employees, because that is not his decision.
Let me align it.
I'm asking you that because when you left office, you left with 108 people. What are 108 people advising you about? So these were like your advisors and officials. No, it's too much.
They were not 100. If there were 108.
That's how it was reported in the media.
They sacked even the gardeners and the watchmen and the cooks and everybody who was there, who came when I was there, which was very unfair.
Because
gardeners...
Then those are not PSC employees, of course.
They are PSC employees, but they were on contract, and the contract was tied to my contract. Okay? What happens is that when you come in, there are certain cadres that are tied to your contract. So when mine left, they were exited and others were brought in, which was very unfair. These gardeners, if you needed to punish Rigathi Gachagua, there was no need to punish the people who sweep around the compound. There is no need to punish the people who make tea, the people who are in communication, photographers, videographers. Those are the people who are sacked with me.
Because here it's written, it's advisors and senior officers.
No. Advisors were very few.
How many?
I wouldn't know how many there were, but very few. Extremely few.
The
back of the people was communication and subordinate staff. People who are looking after the compound. It's a huge compound, almost 25 acres. People who are there. People who are cleaning cars, drivers, cooks, people who are in hospitality.
Why would those people have been employed by you directly? Because those ones should come with the office.
By the office.
But how can they be fired?
Well, that is a law. That is a law. At a certain position, when you come in, there are certain cadre that you are allowed to recruit in your tenure.
Okay.
And you see what happened. You see the previous one held when the ones who are there is Their contract was tied to the tenure of William Ruto. So
Yes.
when he left, they left. Those jobs needed to be
So
done.
even
by
the
other
garden
people.
has left. Or
Yeah, they did.
Ruto.
They did.
Okay.
Their contracts expired.
Okay.
You see when Africa is raising such things, these are the things that are making the larger part of the population of Kenya very angry, because it's a population of the young people. But then instead of creating spaces where we develop a country, we just have a replication of, roles, perhaps. The bigger question would be then, you want to lead this country, how different would you do it, and how would you deal with this youth bulge? Because you have a big population of about 70% who are young people and jobless.
Now I think we are talking. I think now we are leaving nitty-gritties that are really, in my view, not very necessary. What do we do with our young population? That's the crux of the matter. It's actually a national crisis. And I have been with some young people who came to see me yesterday, content creators. We've been together, we spent the whole night together, just asking ourselves, what do we do with the youth question? The people who are graduating every day to the job market, it's about 1 million people. And there is no absorption capacity. And I am saying that from where I sit, my first priority as president is to sit down with my people to come up with a very clear program on how to create job opportunities. And one of the ways is import substitution, so that we stop importing everything from China, from Japan, from where, and create factories here so that we can create employment. And once you create employment here, you also automatically enlarge the tax bracket, because those people who are employed, they start paying pay as you earn, and that will help, the Kenya Revenue Authority to get revenue for development. So we must look at ways of how to stop importing things and try to impress upon foreigners, instead of us importing steel from China, to come and create a factory here to produce steel, so that the people who own that factory can employ our young people to work there. Agro-processing, value addition. There are very many great opportunities in this country where we can create employment for our young population. Again, we must look at issues of financial inclusion. Not everybody must get a white-collar job. Our young people are very innovative and they are very creative. I've just been talking to them. What we need to come up with is a very good program on how we can provide affordable credit to our young people and train them on how to manage those funds, so that they can create jobs for themselves and for their brothers and sisters and their friends and their cousins. So as far as I'm concerned, the greatest challenge to any leader and to the 6th President of the Republic of Kenya is how to create more job opportunities. It is how to get our young population to become participants in the economic growth of this country. As it is today, they are just there at home, and that is why they are getting into problems through peer pressure. They get involved into alcoholism, into drug abuse. Others are committing suicide. Others are having depression. The new government must be very deliberate in trying to create opportunities for our young people, and I believe that those opportunities exist. It's only that there must be political goodwill. We must have a government that is willing to go out of its way to create opportunities for our young people. And this will be done through manufacturing, agro-processing, where we can start small cottage industries, even in the rural areas, where we can have a coffee popping machine, where we can have people packing tea, where we can have people packing avocado, where we just create opportunities through agro-processing and value addition for our crops, because Kenya is basically an agricultural country and there are very many opportunities. Again, is where the Juakali sector, we make sure that we are not having foreigners competing with our people. It cannot be. Today, when you go to Gekomba and Kamukunji, the Chinese have taken over our economy. They are bringing things, and they are also hawking the same. Instead of bringing whatever they are bringing and sell to our people to hawk and create a business opportunity, they are actually doing the hawking themselves. But I'm of the opinion, to the extent possible, we have import substitution. Anything that we can manufacture in this country, instead of importing from China, we go there and have a conversation with the Chinese investors, give them tax holidays, give them economic incentives to come and start those factories here in Nairobi. Transfer the factory from Beijing to Nairobi or Mombasa. Same factory, instead of doing it there and giving work to the Chinese people, bring the factory here in Nairobi and they can employ the people of Kenya. That is what I would be pursuing, and I'm persuaded that within 5 years, we would make remarkable progress and absorb a huge population of our young people into gainful employment.
Okay,
See,
sorry,
we've
let
had
me
these
just
promises
finish
before.
this. Before we go to the promises, the question would be, you are making this decision for the young people as the older generation, and you're saying you've been talking to the young people. What is the place of the young people in this decision making such that they're not on the menu to be consumed, but they're the people coming up with the menu?
Absolutely. Last night, one of a guy I had, he's called Chris Kirubi. He interviewed me. We had more than 14,000 people watching the program. And he told me, Rigiji, we love you, we trust you. But believe you me, if you give you this job and you let us down, we will turn against you the way we have turned against Ruto. I'm aware that these people cannot take promises. They want action. My very honest proposal to the young people, and I'm talking to them, we want them to be part of the decision-making process. We want them to come to the table so that we make these decisions together, so that when things go wrong, they don't pay for my blood. We hang together. I am saying that the administration that I want to lead, the young people will be part of the decision-making process. I want to bring young people to work with experienced people. I want to have a blend of experience and proven track record, working with youthful, energetic, innovative young people. A combination of the two is what this country needs. Experienced old hearts, people who have seen it, who can mentor young people, and then the young people have the energy to drive what has been agreed on. They are innovative, they are creative, they are knowledgeable, they have exposure. I am proposing a government that has a mixture of experienced, tested group of people working together with young, energetic, creative, young people. I don't think with a combination of the two we can get it wrong. I am persuaded we cannot get it wrong. If you come to my party, DCP, I've already started our model. Out of the national executive of 32 people, 17 are below the age of 35. DCP has become the party of the moment, courtesy of those young people. They challenge us with great ideas every day. I've told you since yesterday, I've spent 2 days with the young people. If you look at TikTok, you see the programs we are making with them. And I'm a better person than I was when before I came to Nyeri yesterday. I've known many things I did not know. Courtesy of engaging, listening, and taking seriously what the young people are saying. My administration will be made up of both. And the young people will be part of the decision-making process. They will be on the table, they will not be the menu. And they will drive the changes that we so desire. And I have told them very clearly that they must start by driving the change that we desire. And they have the capacity and the numbers. They are the majority in this country. They are incorruptible. They cannot be bribed by anybody. They are tribeless. And they have a determination and a zeal that has not been witnessed in this country since independence. I have told them their first job is to register as voters and come out and vote. I have told them in the process of voting for Gachagua, they must also vote for themselves. They must run for the positions that are available. They must occupy the county assemblies. They are graduates. They can go there and make good laws for their counties. They must run for National Assembly positions. They must run for the Senate. You know, if they are not able to run for the governor, no problem. But at least the county assembly, the National Assembly and the Senate, we should have very youthful faces in the next dispensation. Again, in my administration, in the executive, I'll bring them in as principal secretaries, as ambassadors, as CEOs of state parastatals. And I can tell you, only a fool can ignore the young population. I must tell you, without an iota of doubt, listening to these young people, most of them know much more than I do. I have lived 61 years. I have listened to some people here 25 years, 26 years. I'm amazed by what they know. And I am that kind of leader who is not arrogant and who is not dismissive and who is not imposing, that I cannot buy advice by young people. I have 2 young boys, 30-something, early 30s. They are the ones who tell me what to do in terms of running our businesses. They know much more than I do. They are more informed. They are more exposed. And I listen to them very keenly. And I gain a lot. I'm a better person by working with them. So I'm not dismissive. There are leaders who dismiss these young people, that they know nothing. I am telling you here today on air, most young people I've discussed with, I must admit they know much more than I do.
Yes, before we I even ask you about the promises that I wanted to ask you, can you say, you said like you learned a few things that the youth want that you didn't know before. So what did you learn yesterday? Like what stands out of everything you learned yesterday?
Well, the young people told me yesterday that never make difficult decisions in a hurry. Young people. I was opening my mouth listening to them. They said, if you decide you want to write a letter and dismiss a worker who has wronged you,
okay.
Write the letter, but don't sign it.
Okay.
Sleep over it. If in the morning you still feel you should sack the worker, sign it. Okay. But they told me 9 out of 10 cases you not sign it, you have changed your mind.
Okay,
Those are young people telling me.
Okay, I thought it was like something political.
No.
So now, let's go back to the promises. I remember seeing Uhuru and standing next to stadiums. I remember Ruto telling us when he comes in, he's going to do 1, 2, 3 things. That's why you talked about, I concentrate on the nitty-gritties. That's the reason, because I've had this conversation before. Like when I listen to you right now, I can take your speech and put Ruto in 2022 and I'll get the same thing, where we are going to create jobs, we are going to bring manufacturing, we are going to, but it never happens. Understand? So there's a lot of youth even right now listening to you and they're like, we've had this before. So do you understand there's that disconnect between the political class and the average Kenyan, where the promises just don't make sense?
So do I, because Ruto promised and never delivered, I cannot make
Uhuru also promised and never delivered.
No, I'm saying,
you know the 5 stadiums?
I'm asking, the question is,
yes,
does it mean because Uhuru and Ruto promised that they didn't,
yes,
I shouldn't? I'm not Ruto, I'm not Uhuru, I'm Gachagua.
We need to, that's why we are concentrating on the nitty-gritties, because the nitty-gritties,
no, I'm saying I cannot be condemned because of the failures of Uhuru Kenyatta or William Ruto, because I'm not Uhuru Kenyatta, I'm not William Ruto, I'm Rigathi Gachagua. I'll be judged on my own record.
Okay, what if, because for you to run for president, your case is dependent on the judiciary at the moment, right? What if the courts decide you can't run?
Well, let's cross the bridge when we get there. I don't believe in counting the chicks before they're hatched. Let's cross the bridge when we get there. That is a presupposition. I don't want to guess. I'm a presidential candidate. I'm clear in my mind that I'm an innocent man. I have every confidence the courts will find me innocent of those charges, and I'll have my day in court. But I don't think I want to say what will happen if this happens or that doesn't happen. Let's cross the bridge when we get there.
So in line with that, of course, critics argue that the so-called united opposition may not get to 2027 together united?
That's William Ruto who says so. And
He's one of them. There are many other critics.
Well, we also say he'll go nowhere, and he says he'll get somewhere. This is politics. People can say anything. That is what they were saying in 2002. They were saying the opposition then is useless, and they cannot agree on one candidate, and they'll crumble, they'll fight. Then they agreed on Mwai Kibaki. The rest is history. We are hopeful. We are determined. We'll stay united to the end, and we'll give one presidential candidate. Our opponents have every right to doubt. They have every right to belittle us. They have every right to say we are stupid. They have every right to say we have no Sarah. They have every right to say we are thieves. That is the nature of politics. But that does not distract us from our focus. We are focused. We are going for it. We know what we need to do. And the people of Kenya have told us, you must stay together. You must stay united. We are determined not to let the people of Kenya down.
Do you understand how that brings a problem where you go on stage, you accuse Ruto of being a thief, he goes on stage and he accuses you of being a thief? And if you go back to the 2024 protest, that was one of the things that the Gen Z were saying. They were saying that they need clean leaders, leaders with integrity. So if I was to ask you right now as Rigathi Gachagua, would you say you're a leader of integrity?
Yes, I am, because I've stolen nothing. You know us, when we say what Ruto has stolen, we say it. Today, in the papers, they have stolen 10 billion. Listen, wait a minute.
Yes.
We are saying 10 billion have been stolen from eCitizen.
Yes.
We are saying 50 billion shillings have been lost in SHA.
Yes.
We are saying Kenya Pipeline has been sold for a song. We are saying Safaricom is being sold for a song. These are real issues that we are raising.
Okay.
William Ruto says we are thieves. What have we stolen?
Okay, let's go step by step. By 2022, you had a case where 200 million shillings of yours had been frozen.
That case was dismissed.
No, that's why we're going step by step. So 200 million had been frozen. Then you went on a debate with Martha Karua. What did you say your net worth was?
I don't think I want to get into that because...
But you understand?
No, I'm just saying, I don't think it is right. I don't think it is right.
If I don't ask...
I don't think it is right to talk about a case that was dismissed in court.
No. Can you let me... Nowadays, I think Gen Z says, let me land. So I want you to let me land. This is what I mean. My audience will, and I guess even her audience, will demand that we ask this because it's about integrity. So... the court case is happening. You're worth, you go and you debate Martha Karua. Do you remember what you said your net worth was?
I can't remember.
You said 800 million.
Yes.
And 200 million had been taken. So we guessed that by that time you had 600 million.
Yes.
But then around the same time, you had a court case about a land next to JKIA.
Yes.
And you never mentioned that land. Yes. You understand? If I'm talking about my net worth and I have a case in court, if I mention the 200,000 shillings that's being held, I'll also mention the 1.5 billion piece of land. I can't say nikiwa, like the way we speak in Sheng, I can't say niko na thao mbili na saa hiyo kuna mtu.
Well, the only difference.
Na thao yangu 10. You understand? So
the only difference. So let me correct you.
It means you're worth 2.3 billion.
Let me correct you. There's a very big difference between what I own as a person and what is owned by companies. That is owned by property. A limited liability company is a person on his own. That land is owned by a company. It's not my land. It's owned by a company. A company is a body corporate. So I talked about what I own as a person. Yeah, finished. And I am saying the laws of this country are very clear. You know, why do we have courts? We have courts to give justice. If somebody is accused of something and the court clears him, you cannot come 2 down, 3 down here trying to ask me about it.
No, I'm not even asking that. What I'm asking is, okay, if it's owned by a company, you have to be owning a part of the shares in that company.
When the law, you see the law of public disclosure of your wealth, you declare what you own as Rigathi Gachagua. This farm here called Karandi, this Omanyor here.
Yes.
The title deed belongs to Rigathi Gachagua. This house and this land is worth like 45 million. That I can always do a disclosure. I own. My Nairobi house, it's 150 million, is my land.
Yes.
But what is owned by companies where other people are shareholders, that's not my wealth.
But you understand why the question of integrity is important. Do you agree on that? Question of integrity?
But I'm saying, in terms of asking people what they own, you say what you own as a person.
Okay. Because with that in mind, you saw the headlines today?
About?
So the headline was, this was on Capital FM. Derito Gachagua's family petitions Ruto seeking probe into alleged forged will, asset fraud and disinheritance of the late governor's estate by his brother. And I can see your brother is on this. So I know you are very close to your brother. But now there's this rumor that's going around, and it stayed there. It stayed since your impeachment. And the story is you disinherited your brother's family. So that's number one. None of your brother's family has ever come out to defend you. So it makes a very interesting situation. That's why, like last week when Ruto was talking about you, and then he talked about Eugene Wamalwa also disinheriting his brother's family, it brings up the question of integrity. You understand? Where if your brother can't trust you with his property and his family, how can we as Kenya trust you with our property? That's why I was telling you the question of integrity. Everything is interconnected. Yes?
My brother, we are in politics. And in politics, opponents say everything they want to say against their competitors. William Ruto is my competitor. William Ruto is not the patron of the Gachagua family. He's the president of the Republic of Kenya. He's supposed to look after public assets. 10 billion shillings have been stolen in his citizen. He's not talking about, wait a minute, let me talk. He's not talking about it. Okay? 50 billion shillings have been stolen in SHA. He's not talking about it. He's talking about Nairobi Hospital, which is a private hospital.
Wait a minute. This is not him. Yes.
Which is a private hospital.
Yes.
He is talking about the Gachagua family. Family matters are solved by families, not by the President of the Republic of Kenya. Family matters are sorted out in court in case they are there. The law of succession, my brother, it's not a matter for the President of Kenya to handle. The law of succession is handled by courts of law. If anybody is dissatisfied by what is happening in a succession implementation, you don't go to the President of Kenya, you go to court. That is the law, because the President of Kenya has no authority over families. Family law says the law of succession. The late Derito Gachagua died in the year 2017. He left a will. That will is studied at the Kenya School of Law as the most advanced will ever done in the Republic of Kenya that has taken care of everybody.
So you can get a copy of it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
The late Gachagua left he wrote a will and gave his property to everybody. Not his wife or children alone. He gave his wife, 2 of them, and his children, 4 of them. He had other women in his life. He included them, 2 of them, and their children. He left a piece of his wealth to all his brothers and sisters, a total of 21 beneficiaries. He left a will and said all his properties should be sold and the proceeds distributed to the beneficiaries in a formula that he put down in his will. Some were getting 10%, others 5%, others 2%, others 3%. He left 3 executors, his lawyer, Joroge Regeru, his longtime friend, Mwai Mathenge, and Rigathi Gachagua, his brother, as executors, with instructions to sell all his properties, pay his debts, there were many, and the balance distribute to the 21 beneficiaries in accordance with the formula.
So you didn't change any part of the will?
Yes, listen. The succession law says once a will has been read to the beneficiaries, you go to court. We went to court, all of us. And before the judge in 2018, all of us told the judge that we have agreed to the contents of the will. Okay? The court adopted the will. Okay? And allowed the executors to go ahead and execute it in accordance with the wishes of the deceased person. We embarked on that exercise as the executors and sold the properties, paid his debts, and distributed the balance to the beneficiaries in accordance with the wishes.
So
that happened in court 8 years ago. 8 years, nobody has ever spoken. All those beneficiaries have received the monies into their accounts and they never complained. William Ruto has decided to play politics with the Gachagua family. He met some of the family members yesterday and told them that he has the authority to recover most of the things that were sold and give them back to them. It is not possible. He's just lying to them. And it's okay. That matter was concluded in the court of law. Everybody was there before a judge. The records are there. And the judge asked each and every person by name, Rigathi Gachagua, do you agree? Yes. So and so, do you agree? Yes. The judge wrote it down and issued what you call a probate.
That was in
2018.
And that's public record.
Yes, public record. You know what is happening. Eh? William Ruto is playing politics, and because he wants to fight Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua has stolen nothing from the Kenyan public. Rigathi Gachagua is clean man, so he thinks he can come and interfere with family matters. One, he's meddlesome. This is our family. He's not a member of our family. Number two, if there was a problem with the family estate, you go to court. You don't go to family. He's the chief of this area. When you have a problem and you have no money to go to court, you go to the chief. If you have money, you go to court. This matter was concluded in court by consent. Nobody said no, and the records are there. Those 4 or 5 people he met yesterday, all of them have received money. When we sold Olive Garden, the ones for 10%, for 5% got 25 million. Everybody has gotten their own money. So this is politics. And it's unfortunate that when our country has so many problems, the president has abandoned his work to look after the country. He is now meddling in families. He's meddling in private institutions like Nairobi Hospital. He is meddling in my family, thinking he's fighting Rigathi Gachagua. I want to tell my relatives to be careful. That William Ruto misused me. He's misusing them. And they'll be very embarrassed when these documents come out in court, into the public, because they will be released. I've just talked to the family, our brother, my brother who is elder, the eldest one, he is very annoyed. And the other family, those are 4 beneficiaries. They are 21 beneficiaries. My brothers, my sisters, they have tried to reach them out to give them money to spoil my name. They have said they cannot. Blood is thicker than water. But a few family members have been conned by William Ruto. And I really sympathize with them because, one, I know they are having challenges, which is normal. I hear one of my niece has been promised a position in the board so that they can complain against, which is okay. If she can get something to eat, that's okay. I hear one of the ladies has been promised some business opportunities. I hear they were also given some little money, which is okay because I don't have money to give them. But I want to say the issue of the late Gachagua was concluded. The estate has been distributed. It's over. It's a closed matter. There's nothing remaining. Everything has been sold. Everybody has been given money. All of them have received. Nobody has ever complained. It is now 9 years since he died. Why has this matter all of a sudden come out? And it is William Ruto who is talking about it. He's not a member of our family. And that is not his work. His work is to look after Kenya. If there is a problem within any family in Kenya, families have a way they sort out their disputes. And there is none in my family. He's the one who is meddling in our family. He's the one who is trying to bribe people in my family to cause discord in my family. If you remember my sister, my brother, all prominent families have been fighting in court for years. The Gachagua family has never fought in court. His will was the best. He made sure he took care of everybody. My late mother, she was alive. He left her 5%. Rigathi Gachagua, he left me 5%. His 2 wives, 5%. His other women he had, he left their children their property. His brothers, his sisters, there is nobody who has ever complained. And you have never seen our issues in the newspapers. Anytime you have heard about the Gachagua, it is from the politicians, not from the family members. And when now they realize that that is not happening, yesterday the member of parliament here called Wamombi, he took them to State House at 6:30 in a white Pajero owned by Susan Derito, one of my niece. And there the Ruto cheated them. He told them to sign some letters. Those are the letters that are circulating. I don't care. It's really nothing. It's hot air, it's politics. We'll dismantle it when my brother turns up and we meet as a family. We'll ask our lawyer to write back to the president and tell him to keep off our family.
How many
You are not part of our family.
How many nephews and nieces do you have from Derito?
I think 4.
So it's the 4 that have complained.
Yeah, I think so. But we have other beneficiaries. We have other children from Derito. We have his brothers. We have his sisters. We have everybody.
Since you've talked about the percentages, what percent were they getting that they feel dissatisfied? Because you see,
that is their father.
It was their fathers.
You know, if they wanted to challenge the will, they should have challenged it then. They didn't. And they were given the opportunity in court before a judge. The judge asked, so-and-so, are you satisfied? Yes. So-and-so, are you satisfied? Yes. They should shut up and shut up forever. Or if they want to go to court, they go back to court. The window for appeal is over. Number 2, they did not dispute at that time. The matter is closed. They're just playing politics.
But in 2024, it was not closed. You remember it started?
No, I'm saying they were just accusations from politicians. The matter was closed a long time ago. All the properties were sold to third parties. And the money was distributed to them and they received the money.
So
and
this
the
is
documents
politics.
are there. Yeah.
So you're saying it's
politics is nonsense. It's William Ruto trying to meddle with my family because he has tried to fight me and it's not working. I'm a popular leader and Kenyans trust me. He wants to destroy my character and my integrity so that Kenyans stop listening to me. He has sent DCI to try to look for crime I've committed in Kenya. There is nothing.
Okay. There's also
he has now gone to the family, to tell the family, you come here, we can help you. All the things that were sold by the estate, you recover. Before anything was sold, there were meetings with the family, there are minutes. Everybody was in agreement and nobody has ever had a problem. And all these children, all these wives have received the money and they have used it. And they were in court before a judge in 2018, called Achode, and all of them were there. It was recorded and a probate was issued and we were given the go-ahead to execute the will that was left by Gachagua. And the instructions were clear. Sell everything. I don't want to give anything to anybody. Sell everything. Pay my debts. The balance, distribute to the beneficiaries in accordance with the will. 10%. 5, 4, 3, 1.
Okay.
That was his wish.
So the other scandal that has kept coming actually was in last month. Yes, the president had when you asked for accountability, there was a case where they kept saying that you're complaining because they're going to distribute relief food to the people on that side, and they kept saying that when you were DO, you had a scandal and you were sacked because you stole relief food.
But I'm asking you, my dear, I was a DO in I left work in 2021. William Ruto picked me 2001. He picked me to be his running mate. How many years later? 20. Yes. Didn't he know I had a case? He has only known I have a case now that I'm opposed to him. It's rubbish. It's nonsense. And criminal matters have no time limit. If I stole food, William Ruto can take me to court tomorrow. It's all nonsense. It's really a very desperate man, who is just spreading propaganda, And I have seen even him saying, some girls were impregnated, some girls were killed. They have been here trying to look for the relatives, we can give you 10 million, you say this, you say that. It's all nonsense. And I really don't want to bother with those things because those things have been said by bloggers opposed to me for the last 5 years. I'm very embarrassed when I see a president of a country picking content from bloggers and talking about it on top of a car. And a president of a country that is struggling, where people have been killed, people have been found in a mass grave, he's not addressing that issue. 43 people have been killed in a mass grave. He's not addressing that matter. The country has a debt of 12.9 trillion. He's not addressing that matter. He's addressing nonsense. That he can get in top of a car to say that a cow of somebody died because of a tick. Just how petty can a president be? When the country is struggling so much with so many problems. Kenyans are asking themselves, where did we go wrong? How can a president of a country be so petty, so reckless to handle personal issues of Kenyan citizens that are a result of rumors and gossip, instead of handling the real issues that are affecting the people of this country.
You understand also the fact you say you left office in 2001 and he's bringing it up right now, 25 years later. Can you also understand him also can say that he was with you in 2022 and you never brought up Kiambaa, but lately you've brought up Kiambaa. You understand why it's the same sort of argument where if he was good enough to be a running mate.
Well, the only difference, the matter of Kiambaa is of public interest. He is bringing things that are of a personal nature. He is the president of the Republic of Kenya. Listen, my friend. But he has a responsibility to bring things that are of concern to the people of Kenya. Yeah, personal things about a family. This is one family. There are more than 20 million families in Kenya who are having challenges. Why is he not bringing their challenges?
Okay.
It is only because he has a personal vendetta with me, because he knows I'm going to run him out of office.
So let me ask you.
Replace him as president. What is happening is he is on a mission to spoil my name, because Kenyans trust me. Kenyans are listening to me. But I can tell you, Kenyans are also very intelligent. I have looked at the social media responses. He is being told, tell us about Kenya, and tell us about families.
And the same Kenyans are saying you could actually be working with President Ruto on the side.
To do what?
It's politics, as you said.
How could I be working with him on the side? I want to remove him from power. And he is resisting. And he is feeling the heat from me.
So if he approached you, would you work with President Ruto again?
I cannot work with William Ruto. He is wrong for this country. He is responsible for the hole we are in as a country. Mwai Kibaki left us a working free primary education program. He has ruined it. We had a good program for university financing, help. He has ruined it. We had a working NHIF program. He has ruined it. He has abducted children. They have been killed. How can I work with such a man? I have no business.
But you see, you've said he has abducted children, he has killed them. Let's go back to Kiambaa. You wouldn't say that you didn't know about Kiambaa in 2007. He's always been the main suspect in quotes. And you worked with him.
Yes, we did.
You endorsed him.
We did.
You said this is the best guy in Kenya.
We did.
You can't then come back a few years later after you fought with him to say now Kiambaa
No,
is
I
an
can.
issue.
Let me tell you why.
Let me finish my point. It means that you will tolerate anything as long as you're on the side of that person.
Not necessarily.
And as soon as you're on different sides, you'll be like, this is the worst guy.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian. Forgiveness is a very important aspect of our Christianity.
So you took back your forgiveness?
I'm saying, listen to me. I think it's fair you also let me speak.
Yes.
It's a very important aspect of our Christianity. I and my people, the Kikuyu nation, were feeling very bad about Kiambaa and the 2000 atrocities, whose Ruto was charged with the crimes against humanity. But Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta came together, forgive each other, and asked the two communities to forgive each other. And we said, we'll forgive, but we will not forget. And we said, let bygones be bygones. And we left it. And we believed, honestly, that William Ruto was a changed man. And anybody can change. Saul can become Paul. And he was sweet-talking, and we were convinced he's a changed man, and he cannot go back to his ways. But the minute he got into office, abductions started and extrajudicial killings. Then it came to our knowledge that he had not changed. He's still the same man. So we started remembering the old things. Normally, that's how life works. If you forgive somebody over something that they did to you, and they say they will never do it again, then they do something similar, you remember the old things that happened. That's how we talk about Kiambaa. And actually, what has brought about Kiambaa is not even the killing of the Gen Zs or the abductions. It's the attack on churches by goons and police. The attack of PCA Mweki by goons supervised by police. The attack of PCA Kariobangi by goons helped by police. The attack of ACK Wetima Church in Othaya by police. That is what reminded us that this is the same William Ruto who attacked women and children in church in Kiambaa. Actually, that is what brought back the memories of Kiambaa. It's something that we had wanted to forget. But the minute he started attacking churches, and we are saying he's the one because investigations have been done, and he has stopped prosecution of those involved, despite the fact that they are known. So we are saying he's the one. It is the attacks of the churches around this area that have brought back the memories of Kiambaa. That is how we are talking about Kiambaa.
So it's not about the... So now, have you stopped forgiving him? And should the Kikuyu community stop forgiving him?
No, we
And
cannot.
are
We cannot forgive.
Are we going to go back to that where as long as we are working together and make forgive tukiacha work together? Because I'd have to go back to the speech. I always go back to the acceptance speech of Ruto. It was one of the most very interesting acceptance speech. And you are there. Remember, he talked about extrajudicial killings. And he said, as soon as over going to stop. That means this thing that used to happen before him. And you know, so now why is it different with him? Why is it now these extrajudicial killings? Say it, oh brother, you can work together, you can what. But when you are coming back, even on the inauguration day, you also remember your speech. There are a few people who took it like it was a little bit disrespectful to Uhuru, if you remember that.
True.
So can you see why now it's hard for me to take your word 100% that...
Well, you don't have to take my words 100%. That's why we have a debate.
Yes.
You take what you think is right. What you think is not right, you don't have to take. You don't have to agree with me 100%.
Yes.
Ruto talked about extrajudicial killing, and I believed him. The minute he started doing it, I disagreed with him. That's the reason why we disagreed. Because I believed him. I believed he was sincere, like I was. I don't believe in that nonsense called extrajudicial killing. Kenya is a country of rule of law. If somebody has committed a crime, arrest him, take him to court, prosecute him, let the court mete out a sentence if he is guilty. But killing people without going through the legal process is unacceptable. And I've explained to you that is why I disagreed with him, and I cannot agree with him. And I also now know he is deceptive. So I cannot agree to anything he tells me anymore.
So how different, if you were to get in power, would you deal with the security sector in Kenya? Because it's a problem, especially with goons in political spaces.
Goonism is the legacy of William Ruto. Goons are part and parcel of the Kenya Police Service now.
Well, they've been there even before.
And we are saying, I am now persuaded that when Ruto sent our police officers to Haiti, we thought they are going to help the people of Haiti to deal with the criminal gangs. Little did we know that they were going there for benchmarking, to know how goons run a country. The city of Nairobi is run by goons. Even when William Ruto is in town, there are goons in tow. Nothing is done to them. The governor of Nairobi works with the goons. PS Raymond Omoro works with the goons. I have been attacked by goons 24 times, and none has been arrested. I want to say this. Kenya is a country of the rule of law. President Rigathi Gachagua would make sure that the rule of law is upheld in this country. And I will tell the Inspector General of Police that he must work with 5 documents only and nothing else. The Constitution of Kenya, 2010, the Criminal Procedure Code, Cap 75, the Penal Code, Cap 63, the Evidence Act, Cap 80, and the police standing orders. That's all. And if the police follow those 5 documents, we'll have no problem. If anybody has committed a crime, why do you want to assassinate that person? Why do you want to abduct and kill that person without going through the judicial system? If anybody has committed any crime, that is in the Penal Code, arrest that person in accordance with the Criminal Procedure Code, Cap 75. Put that person before court. And using Cap 80, the Evidence Act, adduce evidence before a court of law. If the magistrate or the judge is so convinced beyond reasonable doubt that a criminal offense has been committed, the Penal Code provides sentences that are there in law. And that person will either be fined, go to prison for a certain period, or both. But let no police officer decide and be the police, the judge, and the executioner. It cannot happen. We must have separation. Police arrest you, DPP prosecute you, the judge makes the decision, the prison jails you. That's the way it works. But we are having people who want to be the police, the judge, and the executioner. It cannot happen.
And
It's
how,
against the law.
how independent would the judiciary be? And would you say that the judiciary has been independent under Ruto?
To a certain extent, the judges have really tried. And I must commend them, because you have seen many times Ruto has violated the constitution and done many things against the constitution, and the courts have said no, they have stopped it. And I really want to commend the judiciary. I know there are always attempts to twist the judiciary in a certain way, denying them funds, denying them cars, denying them security, intimidating the Chief Justice. But I want to appeal to the Kenyan judiciary to stay steadfast as the last line of defense for the Kenyan people. Let them uphold the constitution and make sure the letter and the spirit of the constitution is followed to the letter.
What is your take about the office of the DPP and how it operates?
I don't think they are fairly independent, because I have seen many attempts to prosecute people because of their political stand. I have seen a lot of governors. You saw the governor of Trans Nzoia was taken to court by the DPP, and the High Court has ruled is a violation of his constitutional right and have stopped the proceedings and said actually he should be paid. I have seen the DPP being muzzled by the executive to prosecute people for political reasons and to deny them their freedom to make political decisions. Especially our governors had a lot of siege. Many governors would want to be in one term fear, because the DPP has been used to intimidate them.
Because the reason I'm asking about the independence of the judiciary is when Uhuru was president, a lot of people that ended up in Ruto's government were facing cases, yes? So you had your case. Aisha Jumwa had a case. I think hers was a murder case. And Linturi had an attempted rape case. All these cases got dropped as soon as Ruto became president.
Yes. Most of those cases.
That shows that it was not an independent
DPP
judiciary.
under Uhuru was not independent. The DPP under Ruto has not been independent. Why most of those cases were dropped is because they were political. In fact, in my case, the DCI saw an affidavit to say that they were pressurized to prosecute me without evidence. And that is how I was let off the hook.
So it was not because you had become the deputy president?
No, it is because they had filed a case against me without evidence and they were being pressurized. And they didn't like it. So the minute I came in, the people who was pressurized them had left. So they were free now to exercise their mind. The DCI saw an affidavit to say we had no evidence against this man. We want the cases to be dropped. And that was it.
So how would you say that a rape case was political? Because either someone was naked and someone walked in.
We cannot go into the merits or the demerits of a rape case because, my friend, let's not go that direction, because you can only say there is a rape case when it has been concluded.
There was an attempt.
An allegation is an allegation. What happens before a court of law? Everybody is innocent until proved guilty. You cannot say because it has been alleged that you raped somebody, you have raped somebody. It has to go through the rigors of prosecution and it has to be proved. In that matter, the case was never heard and then it was terminated. So you cannot say somebody had been raped because it has not been proven.
No, it was attempted rape.
Whatever it is attempted,
yes.
Even if it's attempted, for it to become a crime, it has to be proven.
Yes. The reason why I was bringing it up was during Uhuru's time, when Ruto had a case for grabbing Muteshi's land, he went through the whole thing. It was step by step, until the case was concluded and Muteshi won. During Ruto's time, you are you are one of his friends. All his friends, the cases got dropped. Even Waluke, the guy who was in jail for corruption, I think he'd gotten 67 years. All those cases got dropped.
You don't know.
All those
Let me correct you. Let me correct you. No, it's also good.
Where I have a problem.
No, it's also not good to make a blanket statement that is not true. Waluke's case was not dropped. The Kenyan Constitution has mechanisms to address legal issues. Criminal matters, you are taken to a magistrate's court. You have a right of appeal at the High Court, at the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. Waluke was convicted by a magistrate. The sentence, he appealed before the High Court. The sentence was upheld by the High Court. He appealed before the Court of Appeal. The sentence was quashed by the Court of Appeal. That is a court of law that has quashed it. Nobody dropped it. The cases you are talking about were never heard. And why they were never heard is because they had no evidence. They just kept us in court. Because I was taken to court in 2020. Why was it not heard for 2 years? The magistrate kept, the prosecution kept us tomorrow, because they had nothing.
So there was no influence from...
no, I'm saying if there was evidence against me, the matter should have been heard in 2 years. Why was it not heard in 2 years? Because we kept on going to court. The prosecution would ask for more time because they did not have evidence. They were even told to supply us with the evidence they have. They never supplied us with the evidence. So by the time we came pressurized, we didn't have anything against these men. And then it was dropped.
So what I'm asking is, what's the probability a murder case is dropped, a rape case is dropped, a corruption case is dropped, a what is dropped, and all these are friends of Ruto?
I think I'm the wrong person for you to ask such a question.
All these are friends of Ruto.
No, I'm saying,
Ruto's friend.
I'm the wrong person to ask such questions because I don't think I'm competent to judge. You can only ask me about my own case. That one I'm competent because I know what happened. About other people, I think you're asking the wrong person.
No, I was just saying because the judiciary, like how independent is it and how independent
will
it be
under you? That one.
Under you, because you see,
I think that one.
You say Uhuru is your brother, but then you also say Uhuru used the judicial system to punish.
I am not defending his excesses. He's my brother, yes. The fact that he had excesses does not make him not my brother. I mean, I would be a very bad man to say he's not my brother because he had excesses. But he had excesses. His government used the criminal justice system to settle politics, and it was wrong. But that does not make him not my brother. But he's not president anymore. He's retired. Bygones be bygones. We are through. We're over that phase.
Okay, yeah. Let's move to something that's very critical for this country, the health sector.
Yes.
When you came in, you're part of the government, so of course you were introducing SHA into the system. What vision was there for SHA, and why do you think at the moment there have been so many issues and challenges and even cases about corruption?
My sister Sarah, I must tell you very frankly that the migration from NHIF to SHA was not a good intention. It was done for corruption. What needed to be done? If you ask Geoffrey Mwangi was the CEO of NHIF before, and they had recommended that certain reforms be done in NHIF and it be upgraded to be compliant to take care of leaks and abuse. And a study was done, and that upgrading would have costed 800 million. And the system would have been perfect. But a decision was made to scrap it and bring a new system called SHA at a cost of 104 billion Kenya shillings for corruption. That money was stolen. That is why SHA was brought. SHA was not well thought out. And that's why it's not working. And you know it's not working.
Did you ever discuss it when you were deputy?
Well, the only problem, I must tell you very honestly, the Ruto government is a one-man show. He has a group of advisors. He discusses with them. They agree. They implement. Even ministers, the Minister of Health, heard about that SHA from Ruto. It's the ministry, but he's not involved. It is some experts sitting with Ruto who makes that decision. And most of these decisions are influenced by conflict of interest. SHA is not working. And I want to tell you today, because I want Kenyans to ask me, and everything I've said in this country has come to pass. SHA will collapse in 6 months and will be in a crisis of an unknown magnitude. It cannot work. We are collecting 4 billion and paying 7 billion in a month. How can it work? There's no insurance that can work that way because it was not well thought out. It was a scheme to steal. 104 billion. That is what was being stolen. And then we got a system that is not working. And everybody in the country is saying it's not working. It's only Ruto, his ministers, and sycophants around him who say SHA is working. You people go around this country. It's not working. That's the truth. And because it was not well thought out, it was a scheme to steal money from the people of Kenya.
At what point, because I remember it was announced that SHA payments were supposed to go through Sidian Bank, yes? At that point, were you in government or out of government?
Well, Sidian Bank was bought by William Ruto.
That's what I'm asking. Like, by the time it was announced, the payments had to go through Sidian. Were you in government or after you'd left?
Yeah, I think I was in government.
If you knew that
there's nothing I could do. I'm telling you, my brother, Africa, this government is a one-man show. I was the only man in that cabinet who could tell Ruto no, and that's why he had a problem with me. Because I would oppose many things that were not true, that were not right, that was not good for the country. So, since I left, everything has collapsed.
So when you went for cabinet meetings, what would happen? Because most people don't understand.
Many times, I would chair the cabinet committee, and we would interrogate our proposals and pass the ones that are good for the country and reject the ones that are not good for the country. Many times, when now we go to the main cabinet, most of the things we had rejected, he would overturn, despite us having said it's wrong. Because at cabinet level, cabinet committee that I chaired, you interrogate properly and you take time, you call experts. It's a very rigorous exercise at the cabinet committee. The cabinet is a bit formal. The president is there. This one, Rigiji, mulipitisha hii sawa, hii sawa, hii kwa nini mkupitisha, hii, no, let's look at it, wacha tupitisha tu. Many times he would even approve things before they come to cabinet. He would give what you call executive approval, and cabinet would just adopt the decision without interrogating it. Most of those things and those decisions, like all the money for housing has gone to Sidian Bank. Money for SHA has gone to Sidian Bank. The Nairobi County government has been forced to open accounts in Sidian Bank, despite the fact that Sidian Bank is a small bank. It's actually the Tier 3. And the common practice has been that all government funds should go to Tier 1. Tier 1 is Equity, Cooperative Bank, ABSA, those big banks where government money cannot get lost. We lost a lot of money in the 80s when they had been invested in these small banks. So a policy decision was made that government funds should be banked and invested in Tier 1 banks. Sidian Bank is Tier 3, but now, last year, it made a profit of 503 billion. Every month they are making 21 million every month, and it is conflict of interest. The bank is owned by the president, so he has directed all government monies be put there. And even this money for housing is too much. It's just lying in the bank. The Ministry of Housing have no capacity to absorb those funds because the monies are being collected from Kenyans and it's billions of shillings. But the Department of Housing has no capacity. Even when I was in office, I suggested that we put some of this money to the National Housing Corporation, which is a corporation has a proven track record of building houses and has a very well laid out infrastructural capacity to do houses. Ruto refused. The money is in the bank most of the time because he's earning interest. It is in his bank.
So how do you correct the health sector? Because this is something that is affecting literally almost all Kenyans.
I am afraid that by the time we take over, this country will be in trouble. Because if SHA collapses the way I envisage from the information that I have from insiders, in 6 months, what happens? For 1 year before we take office, we'll have a crisis in our hands. And I think we are going to put up a team to start thinking through what we shall do. But in my view, we need to go back to the old NHIF, restructure it to be in tide with the current and modern times, to make sure that we eliminate fraud, to make sure that we see all the loopholes, we see all the leaks, so that it is something that has transparency and accountability. But SHA as it is, I must admit we are in trouble. And I foresee danger ahead. I don't know what will happen to the Kenyan patients. If SHA collapses, and even private insurances have been denied opportunities for teachers, for police, everybody is told to go to SHA. That is not working. I would want a situation where SHA, or NHIF for that matter, is one insurance to compete with others so that there is efficiency, so that you can decide, even a public servant, if NHIF is better, you go to NHIF. If Jubilee Insurance is better, you go to Jubilee. Competition brings efficiency. This thing of monopoly is not a good thing, And that is why we want a liberal economy, and we want a liberal insurance system in this country. We want to have private insurance firms. We want to have a government body. Let them compete so that people can go to the best. And that way, even a government body will become efficient. But if you force everybody to go to a government body, there's a lot of laxity and there's a lot of theft by public servants because it's a government institution. I would want a situation where we liberalize health insurance and as many companies can have insurance schemes, and everybody, including public servants, including police, including teachers, can make a choice and go to whoever is giving you a good service at the best price.
But if you're saying that SHA would collapse, I think the easier thing would be to seal the loopholes. Because why is SHA collapsing?
Who will seal, my friend?
No, if you're in government, because if SHA is collapsing,
it is collapsing.
Yes, if SHA is collapsing, it's collapsing because of fraud. Yes,
yes.
The few people who've benefited from it, because there are few people who benefited. Yes, like they've gone to hospital and it's worked for them. That means that there are parts of that work. This thing of scrapping everything, like Ruto came in, scrapped NHIF to come up with SHA. You're also saying that if the next government comes in, it's going to scrap SHA, come up with something.
No, but I'm saying it's not working, and you can't correct what was intended to fail. SHA was a scheme to defraud the people of Kenya. I don't think you can reform an entity whose sole intention was to defraud the people of Kenya. You have seen 10 billion shillings has been stolen. Instead of William Ruto following that, he's meddling in the Gachagua family. A family that has nothing to do with the people of Kenya. He's the president of Kenya. He should be concerned with people, with things that concern the people of Kenya, not about families that are having their own dynamics as a family.
Yes, which I think we moved from that.
No, I'm just saying because you are saying that we reform, you cannot reform that whose very composition was meant to defraud. You'd have to, you cannot do, reform something that was done in a way that the objective is stealing from the people of Kenya.
But you understand where you're saying two things at the same time. Because, like, for example, when you talk about Kindiki, you say he's a yes man, yes? He agrees everything that the president says. But then you also say that when you are in cabinet, the president will be like, we are going to move money through CDN, which you knew is his personal bank, and you'll also keep quiet.
I didn't keep quiet. I've told you I was kicked out because I was saying no. That's what I've told you. I said no to many things. Yeah, many things I said no. I would say, like when, we had a very good program on fighting alcoholism and drug abuse. He interfered with it and I told him no publicly in Nyandarua, in Togino Church. I told Mr. President, please, under your watch, we can't get, bad alcohol being sold to our young people. What is happening, Mr. President, is unacceptable. The videos are there. I told him in public.
I think around that time, what had you said? You'd said bars have to be closed by a certain time?
Yes, we said we control drinking hours.
But do you think that's good in a secular country? Because it's still a secular country.
Yes.
EABL is still one of the biggest.
Yeah, we are saying, my friend.
It's one of the biggest.
We are saying people cannot drink throughout. Yeah.
Yes. No, EABL is one of the biggest taxpayers in Kenya. So do you know, if you are to do that, you can't also disrupt a whole part of the
economy? For your information.
Based on morals.
For your information.
Issue. Yes.
When I stopped illicit alcohol from being sold in Kenya, we collected more taxes from alcohol because people drank good alcohol that is taxable. Most of this illicit alcohol, there is no tax collection. So when I stopped 51 factories that were selling bad alcohol, and there was a lot of counterfeit of the same alcohol that was not being taxed. When we stopped it completely, people went to bars to drink hygienic alcohol and drank more alcohol that is taxable. And actually, there was an increase in tax collection. We never ruled out Kenya breweries. What we did is we said people should drink from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 6 hours. and then you go home. If you arrive home at midnight, chances are by 7 a.m., you'll be sober and go to work. But this thing of people drinking from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the following day, it's not healthy for our country. And I can tell you, the reforms that I brought into that sector, everybody was happy. KRI collected more. There was sobriety. Young people who were sleeping in trenches went home. Young people who did not have families started having families. It was a win-win situation for the country and for our moral fabric. And everybody was happy. Today, when I go around the country, mothers are in tears. The young people are back to drinking. KRI is collecting less because illicit alcohol is what is available. Cheap illicit alcohol which are killer drinks. People are drinking and dying. There are funerals in villages every week. In every village, 2 to 3 funerals because of excessive drinking. And people are also not working. You find even going to pick coffee, boys are not available. Picking tea is women who are picking tea because all the young people are out there drinking cheap, illicit liquor. And I told William Ruto, my brother, you say you are Christian, you say you are parent. How do you allow this thing to come back? And I have successfully stopped it. That exercise was 70% successful. And what I was doing is stopping more drinking, illicit alcohol, and mama boys, would deal with the issues of those who are already addicted. It was a win-win situation for the country. And I'm very proud of what Mama Boys and I did for our country. I am very, very proud leader. And wherever I go around the country, people commend me for what I did. And they actually miss that I left office because when I was there, things were working.
I wanted to ask something else because there's also a critical thing in this country, and that's the CBC education system. I would want to understand, when you're coming in, did you understand what CBC was and what was the plan? Because at the moment, there's so many complaints about the system, and it would be also important to understand how you would handle that. Yesterday, I was talking to a parent who was saying their kids, I think, are in grade 5, but these children use just one common science book. Like they're the same grade, but the books are different. So it becomes very hard for parents. So did you understand CBC and how would you handle it?
Well, thank you very much. When we came in, I urged the president because there was a big crisis about CBC. The teachers did not understand it. There was no curriculum. There were no books. The pupils did not understand it. People did not know whether when the junior school will be in primary school or will go to high school, where it will be domiciled. The educationists did not understand it. So the president, we discussed, and he set up a team called Presidential Working Party on Educational Reforms. And there were very many professors, and I went to launch them at STEM headquarters in Karen. And they came up with recommendations. And when they came up with recommendations, the recommendation was that Kenya needed more time. First, to train the teachers on the new curriculum, to develop the curriculum, to come up with books, and also to provide the requisite infrastructure in terms of the junior secondary school. But the president said, we just go ahead before people are ready. That was what the experts were advising, that we would rather proceed with the old system that is known, that is understood, and then CBC, the concept looks good, but the implementation matrix requires time. We need to train personnel, we need to provide books, we need to develop the curriculum, we need to provide the physical infrastructure. Okay, that is why you find the other day there was a big crisis about kids from grade 9 going to grade 10. Even some people don't even have uniform. The classrooms that have gone, they have no facilities. The teachers in the junior secondary school do not know the curriculum. They have not been trained by anybody. So the change of an education system requires very careful handling. And I can tell you the way you are saying it is true. Wherever I have gone, parents are up in arms and everybody is confused. And that is the truth. There's nothing I can do myself. I'm not in government. We'll study the situation. And when we form government next year, we will take it up from where we have reached and then decide what to do. But the most important thing is to listen to the stakeholders. You must listen to the students. You must listen to the teachers. In primary school, in secondary school, in university. You must listen to educationists. You must listen to everybody. And Kenyans are knowledgeable. We have a lot of human resource. People knows what needs to be done. People need to be given a chance to contribute, to be part of the solution. And that's where we are getting it wrong. Where people at the top decide to do something, they don't want to talk to anybody. They proceed, develop an idea without talking to the stakeholders who would ordinarily give very useful input that will give a good outcome of the intended changes of a program.
So that, because I see here there was a 42-member team that had been formed. Is there anything that they proposed that stood out that Ruto ignored?
They had said that the implementation be done slowly in stages, and we don't roll it out completely until we develop the requisite capacity in terms of teachers, the numbers, two, equipping them, equipping the teachers with a skill, equipment. You know, you have seen the children here being told the things to make, but the materials are not available here in the rural areas. You know, you find some places they are supposed to study with tablets. There is no electricity, there is no solar. So we needed to develop, you know, the equipment and the capacity, the infrastructure, the classrooms, the teaching tools, the teaching aids, and get books. Already now, as we speak today, the curriculum. This is sheer madness. You say you have a new curriculum, yet there are no books that can help in the new curriculum. You are using books for the old curriculum. It doesn't make sense.
Out of curiosity, because these kids are now in grades 10, 11, and high school, what was the plan for them after high school? Because normally what we had was 844, you just go to campus. So is the training in university expected to be the same, or is it now a reworking?
To tell you the truth, I don't know. I'm very confused myself. You know, I listen to people, I talk to teachers, they tell me different things. I talk to education officers, they tell me different things. People have different interpretation of this program. Nobody can really sit you down and tell you exactly what is supposed to happen. And that is the crux of the matter. That is a tragedy we face as a country, that nobody can, with authority, tell you from the beginning to the end, what is the end game? Where do you start and where do you end? Yeah. And myself, what those experts had recommended, I thought it was very well thought out. Please, let's slow down the implementation until we put everything into place. It was a good recommendation.
Now, the other day, I think it's the World Bank that said Kenya had one of the best world education system, I think either on Wednesday. What is the danger with that? Because that's a whole generation. What does that mean for a country?
Well, we are at crossroads as a nation. Where you have the education system, it's not working. The health system is not working. There is insecurity, there are goons all over. Most of the projects have stalled. There is no money in circulation for the economy. Pending bills have not been paid for the last 4 years. Businessmen who have provided services to government, both national and county, their properties are being auctioned every day because the government has not paid them. The country is at a crossroad. And then you have a president who is on top of a car discussing families and persons, individuals and family matters and individuals and small petty things. When we have a challenge with the education system, we have a challenge with the health system, we have a challenge with security, we have challenge with the flow of money. I'm told by experts we are facing another challenge about the availability of fuel. And this fuel have nothing to do with Iran. It has everything to do with what you call G2G, a program that was brought by William Ruto that smells of corruption. It is done by somebody from Meru, Gulf Energy, with people in government. And we imposed paying 8% VAT, it was increased to 16%. And then there was 7 shillings that the government can use to intervene and stabilize when there's a problem. They did what you call sectorization. That money was used to borrow money. So that money is not available to stabilize the fuel market. So we are staring at a crisis. And I am shocked that instead of the president addressing that, he's addressing nonsense and pettiness and gossip and rubbish. We have real challenges as a country. And I can tell you people are getting very agitated. And if things are not well taken care of, we could have civil unrest. Because Kenyans will reach a place and say, no, this is too much, because nothing is working. Almost everything has come to a standstill. And the government is on a campaign trail, moving with money with bags, bribing voters, when nothing else is working. We have many children at home because money for capitation has not been released. Principals of schools cannot pay bills to feed children in boarding schools. They are almost being auctioned. Yet you are asking them to keep children at school without money, yet they need to feed them. They need to pay electricity. They need to pay fuel. So these children have been sent home. As we speak, many children are at home. This morning, I had many parents here who came to see me to see what I can do. Because I used to help them when I was member of parliament. I used to help them when I was deputy president. A few people when things were not working for a few families. But now it's almost everybody. Most children are at home because there's no money for capitation. Yet the little money that is available for public use is being used for the route of the re-election. That is how sad things are.
And talking of schools, of course, there is a time when you spoke about Northeastern and how they've not built schools. And of course, people understood that. But there's something controversial you said about national schools like Mangu and Alliance. So would you like to maybe clear that? Because it came out like you are saying people from a region should. Because there's something that these schools. No, that's what I'm saying.
I did say that. I said it's unfair for one region to build good schools. Another region has money that has been allocated in billions. They don't build schools. They use the money to build flats and malls in the city. And then their children come and take the places for the children of that region where people have built schools. I say this unfair. And the people of Northeastern Kenya supported me because over 1 trillion shillings has been given to Northeastern Kenya. But there's nothing on the ground. We had great schools, Wajir High School. We had Northeastern Girls. We had Gabatura High School. Very good national schools. If the MPs and the governors in those areas have put money to expand the facility in those schools, I would propose a program where children from Central Kenya can also go there and study there so that they get to know each other and we develop a national culture. I don't want our schools here to be the preserve of the people of Central Kenya. I want all Kenyans to build good schools so that our children from every area can go and study in other areas. That was my point. Because children from those areas with very low marks were taking places meant for children in this area with very high marks. And I'm not saying those children do not deserve a place. Those children from Northern Kenya deserve good education. They deserve an opportunity to learn and learn well. They deserve an opportunity to mix with other children. But what we are saying is, it is not acceptable that their leaders take money that is meant to develop schools in those areas and use it for personal use. And then there are no schools in those areas. And then the children of the areas where money has been well spent are disadvantaged by those children. It's not fair. And those children from Northern Kenya are innocent. It is the leaders who have a problem. And we called them out. And I'm very happy the professionals and the young people supported me 100%. In fact, since I talked, the leaders from that area have started going back home because they never used to go. They were just staying initially in South Sea and they never go there. But now things are changing. They are being held to account. They are being forced by the people of that area to be accountable. And I'm the one who raised the red flag. I'm the one who educated the people of Northern Kenya and told them, you have a responsibility to hold your leaders to account. I really, really championed their issues. And I'm very happy that I have seen quite a bit of change in matters accountability in northern Kenya.
All right. I think we've been having this conversation for over 2 hours now, and we will have to bring it to an end. But before we end it, I would want to understand, what do you feel people misunderstand most about you, and what is one of your worst fears at the moment?
Well, William Ruto had tried to create a narrative that Gachagua is tribal. But Kenyans with time have known me. I've taken a lot of time to talk to the Gusii Nation through their radio, to talk to the Ma Nation through their radio, to talk to Northern Kenya people through their radio, to talk to the Luo Nation through their radio, to talk to Western Kenya through their radio, articulate their issues, and they are now understanding me. And they are come to the realization that Gachagua is a great patriot of this country, and he means well for the people of this country. I have told them that when I was campaigning for William Ruto, he never called me a tribalist. He said, I'm a good man. I'm a patriotic Kenyan. The minute I decided he's not good for this country, he said, I'm a tribalist. He has tried to drive that narrative, but I'm happy that many Kenyan people are saying, let Rigiji talk to us. The other day, I had a talk with Ramogi, radio and TV, and the anchors were trying to stop me from speaking. They are in trouble. The Luo Nation is asking, why didn't you let Rigiji talk to us? Let him talk to us. Kenyans want me to talk to them. I think 70% of Kenyans now understand me, and I'm a very happy man. My worst fears is that the Kenyan nation could collapse. If the education system collapses, the health system collapses, the economy collapses, the security sector collapses, then we have no nation. And we are being also isolated by the international community because we are doing things that are not right. Our foreign policy is informed by non-interference in the affairs of other nations. We are interfering in DRC Congo. We are interfering in Southern Sudan. We are interfering in the Sudan. And we are slowly getting isolated as a country. I care for my country. I fear that we could become another failed state, which would be very unfortunate because Kenya is a great nation of great people who are very resilient, who are hardworking, and people who are very hopeful. But through bad leadership, we could kill their fighting spirit and their industry, being industrious. We could kill it and they can give up. But I want to tell the people of Kenya that all is not lost. We have an opportunity next year to go to the elections and elect a new government that is transparent, that is accountable, that cares for the Kenyan people, that is accountable to the Kenyan people. And I want to ask our young people to register as voters because they hold the card to the liberation of this country because they are the majority. Again, they are incorruptible and they are forward-looking, they are exposed, and I'm sure they will make the right decisions for this country. That is what gives me hope. That is what gives me encouragement when I see our young people vibrant, energetic, seeking for change, desiring that there be change, vowing to be part of that change and that transformation. I get very encouraged that difficult as things look, we have the young population that is determined to cause change that the Kenyans desire.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor.
So, of course, I don't know if it was early this week when Moses Kuria said that a lot of people in this region are going to be, but that does not mean that they won't work with the government. And that has been the pattern where a lot of people are voted in and then immediately after they go to the person who's won as president. So you keep talking about betrayal and being betrayed by Ruto. What happens if, let's say, for example, you stay impeached and you can't run for president, you support someone, they win? What's going to force them to this time not betray you?
Well, Moses Kuria didn't say that they'll work with the government. He says he'll
They'll
buy
be
them.
bought.
He
Yes.
says he'll be by them.
Yes.
Yes.
And by that
His
they means
statements,
they'll work with.
his statements are two. The first one is true.
Yes.
All leaders in the Mount Kenya region will be voted in DCP because a decision has been made, and that is what people have decided. He is wrong in the second instance. DCP will make sure that we get good quality leaders. Not all leaders are bought. John Meadow, the senator of Nyandarua, has been offered money. He has said no. Senator Karungo Thang has said no. Senator Kamau Murango of Kirinyaga has said no. Senator Joe Nyuto of Muranga has said no. Jane Jerry of Kirinyaga has said no. James Munyoro of Kegumo has said no. Jim Kehara has said no.
That now is
those
right
are
now
the kind of leaders.
Political suicide.
Those are the kind of leaders.
Yes,
we are looking for, and I am very happy that so far the leaders who have expressed interest to run at the DCP and are doing very well on the ground through my own investigations, through my own interactions, through my own due diligence, I'm sure we'll end up with 90% of good leaders who cannot sell their people to satisfy their stomach. I'm sure we'll have great patriots, people who love the electorate, people who love their people, people who love their country, and will put the people's interests ahead of stomachs and the stomach interest. I'm clear in my mind, and I think we are in the right place, and I am very confident that we shall end up with good leaders.
But you also understand that right now, no one can go against DCP because it would be political suicide. But after September next year, it won't be political suicide. If I've already been elected, I do not actually. So do you understand what he means?
Yeah,
we've seen the pattern where you see like even a lot of people in 2017 were elected because of Uhuru Kenyatta, but they didn't stay with Uhuru.
Well, the person who buys people is William Ruto. He has perfected bribery as a tool of governance. To start with, he will not be there to buy them. He'll be in Sogoi. That gives me a lot of comfort. Number two, I'll be president. I'm not in that business of buying leaders. I allow the people, I allow the leaders to serve their people without intimidating them, without coercing them, without bribing them.
But you see, like we are working with a scenario where you stay impeached. Yes.
Oh, let me tell you, my brother.
If you don't stay impeached,
let me look
at that scenario.
Let me also explain to you.
Yes.
Article 99 of the Constitution says that anybody who has a challenge with Chapter 6 and has gone to court cannot be stopped from vying until he has exhausted all the available remedies provided by law. My matter is before the High Court. Depending on the way it goes, there is another stage in the Court of Appeal. Depending on the way it goes, there is another stage in the Supreme Court. My matter now is 1.5 years. It has not left stage 1. Okay? I am very hopeful that that impeachment will be vacated so that I have no challenge at all. Even if it has not been vacated by the time we go to the polls and is still pending in the court, nothing in law stopped me vying for office. I'm a presidential candidate with the ballot.
But you also talked about you and the others deciding on one person.
We have agreed that we'll talk and agree that we shall have one presidential candidate. I'm very hopeful, extremely hopeful that I'll persuade them.
Okay.
That I'm the best man for the job and they should give me the ticket.
And you also losing Bere North and losing that didn't put something in your mind that maybe, just maybe, the whole mountain is not.
Nothing.
You lost in Bere North.
Nothing. I didn't lose Bere. I didn't have a candidate. I was campaigning for the candidate for the DP. But when you get time, study the politics of Bere North and South. Those two constituencies are the only two constituencies that vote with the rest of the mountain in matters presidential. But all the other seats are local affair because they practice the politics of clanism. If you look at the year 2002, when nobody wanted to hear about Kanu and Moi, Bere North, it was called Shiakako then, voted for President Mwai Kibaki at a knock, 95%, and voted J.B. Muturi in Kanu as member. In 2007, when Kibaki was in PNU, they voted Mwai Kibaki in PNU, rejected J.B. Muturi in PNU, and voted for Lene Kivuti in Safina. In 2013, Bere North, called Shiakako, voted for Uhuru Kenyatta at the TNA and voted for Gachagua and Abbas. 2022, again they voted for William Ruto and UDA went ahead to vote for Roko and DP. The conduct of Bere North and South in matters that are not presidential is a local affair. But in presidential matters, for the longest since 1992, they always vote with the rest of the mountain. So I'm not bothered. None at all.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, we have to end it at this because matters politics, we can keep talking and talking until it's morning. But we totally appreciate your time so much. We appreciate, of course, at Alpha House, Ikonini, totally appreciates. And he actually promised that he will come to each of these podcasts, futuristic. So watch out because there is more that is coming. And we totally appreciate your time. To you who's been watching this, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We were able to ask as many questions as we could. For those we didn't, watch out for the next episode. Have a good night and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Asante, tumeshukuru sana pia.
It's long but easy.
It's long but good, yeah. Thank you.